Welcome to Tales in the Dark. I know many of you enjoy relaxing with these videos, so I recommend turning down the volume until my voice is barely audible. It'll make the experience even more soothing. Before you close your eyes, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy listening. Story 1. The gentle cadence of waves caressing ancient stones enveloped my senses as I traced the meandering path towards the lighthouse. The evening breeze carried whispers of salt and seaweed, intermingling with the earthy fragrance of rain-soaked soil. My footfalls tread lightly upon the moist earth, harmonizing with the soft rustle of tall grass swaying in the coastal zephyr. Ahead, the lighthouse loomed, its weathered walls assuming an otherworldly aura in the waning twilight. Paint peeling in delicate patterns unveiled hidden layers of bygone eras. As the assistant to the lighthouse keeper, this structure had been a steadfast presence in my life. Yet tonight, an unfamiliar essence lingered in the air. The usual warm, golden beam that typically danced across the waters was conspicuously absent, though the lantern room at the tower's peak emitted a soft glow. The iron key felt icy against my skin as I unlocked the ponderous wooden door, its hinges protesting with a deep, resonant groan that reverberated through the circular chamber. Upon entry, the familiar scents of brass and mineral oil greeted me, accompanied by an enigmatic fragrance, a subtle blend of aged books and withered blooms. Each step I took echoed softly against the stone floor as I commenced my ascent up the spiraling staircase. 142 steps. Though a journey I had undertaken countless times, tonight, each step seemed to murmur beneath my feet. The usual symphony of the lighthouse, the gentle ticking of the clockwork, the faint hum of wind through the ventilation shafts, appeared subdued, as if veiled by a dense fog. The brass handrail exuded an unusual warmth under my touch, contrasting the cool evening air. Ascending further, minute anomalies caught my eye. Faint markings on the walls, reminiscent of script, emerged only to dissipate upon closer inspection, revealing mere natural stone patterns. Approaching the watchroom beneath the lantern room, I noticed the logbook lay open on the desk, despite my vivid recollection of closing it after the last entry. The pages fluttered gently, untouched by any breeze. The most recent entry bore my handwriting, detailing a peculiar occurrence. Light emanates but reveals naught, piercing the fog as if through emptiness. A chill descended as I ascended the final steps to the lantern room. The Fresnel lens gleamed resplendently, its crystalline facets capturing and refracting the lamp's light. The mechanism rotated steadily, yet peering through the glass panes, I discerned no beam slicing through the encroaching darkness. It was as though the light dissipated mere feet from its source. Pressing my palm against the cool glass, I surveyed the eerily tranquil sea below, akin to obsidian silk. No starlight mirrored on the surface, despite the clear night sky above. The horizon had vanished, merging sea and sky in an abyssal darkness pulsating with a mysterious vitality. The cryptic entry in the logbook tugged at my thoughts. Years of tending to this lighthouse had acquainted me with its every idiosyncrasy and feature. The concept of light vanishing into oblivion defied my understanding of the natural order. Yet here I stood, bearing witness to this enigma. A gentle scraping noise drew my gaze to the corner of the room, where the maintenance toolbox lay open, though I distinctly recalled securing it shut. Inside, the tools lay arranged in an unfamiliar configuration, almost resembling symbols. Blinking, they reverted to their normal state, yet an unsettling disquiet lingered. The lamp's flame flickered unpredictably, casting dancing shadows upon the brass fixtures. Observing my reflection in the glass, I discerned a subtle delay in its movements, out of sync with my own actions. When I raised my hand, the reflection mirrored my gesture a fraction of a second belatedly. A soft, melodic hum emanated from the lens, an organic resonance reminiscent of a wet finger tracing a crystal goblet's rim. yet deeper, more profound. The vibrations seemed to permeate the floor, coursing through my being. Returning to the logbook, I found additional words materializing on the page as if inscribed by an unseen force. The darkness does not devour the light. It transmutes it into the imperceptible. Some truths are destined to remain unseen. Gazing outward once more, I discerned liquid shadows in lieu of the beam illuminating the water, darker than the surrounding obscurity. They undulated against the current, forming intricate patterns suggestive of a cryptic language inscribed in the absence of light. Mesmerized, I watched as the humming intensified, synchronizing with the lamp's gentle pulsations. The brass fixtures throughout the room refracted the light in defiance of natural laws, casting impossible shadows and angles. Temporal distortions pervaded the lantern room. The moon's traverse hastened, while the clock indicated a mere passage of minutes. The lens's rotation warped the darkness outside, conjuring shapes that defied comprehension. The brass rail's warmth ebbed, replaced by an ineffable sensation, as though touching a substance transcending conventional states of matter. The very air within the lantern room brimmed with potential, akin to the pregnant pause before a lightning strike, yet softer, more inviting. Upon descending the stairs, each step felt akin to traversing through misaligned realities. The lighthouse had transcended its mere physical form, existing in an interstitial realm, its purpose perhaps exceeding the guidance of ships through the night. The following morning unveiled no trace of the nocturnal enigmas in the logbook. The tools lay in their designated places, and the lens cast its beam across the waters as usual. Yet on tranquil nights, a subtle fading of light and the faint hum would occasionally return. In those moments, I pondered whether the lighthouse conversed not only with the darkness, but in a dialect of light and shadow beyond mortal comprehension. The riddle of that night lingered, shrouded in mutable uncertainties that shifted with each recollection. The lighthouse persisted in its nightly vigil, and I in mine, cognizant that some mysteries are best left undisturbed, their answers concealed in the interstice between light and shadow, known and unknown, seen and unseen. Story 2. The soft, steady patter of rain against ancient stone walls set a tranquil rhythm that reverberated through the vast empty halls of the grand castle. Nestled in my temporary abode, I observed as raindrops meandered lazily down the leaded glass windows, their paths illuminated by fleeting flashes of distant lightning. Candlelight flickered, casting warm, dancing shadows that seemed to breathe in harmony with the flickering flames. Recently appointed as the caretaker of this majestic edifice, I had only just arrived before the autumn storms descended upon the land. The former caretaker had departed abruptly, leaving behind a weathered leather-bound journal brimming with cryptic musings and peculiar observations. Its pages exuded the musty scent of time, mingled with a hint of something sweeter, perhaps lavender or dried roses, a fragrance that lingered in the air whenever I perused its contents. The castle itself stood as a testament to medieval artistry, its aged stones holding within them centuries of untold tales. Faded tapestries adorned the walls, their hues softened by time but still whispering stories of ancient feasts and merriment. In moments of profound quietude, when the wind hushed, I fancied I could hear faint echoes of bygone revelries carried on the gentle drafts that meandered through the corridors. On this stormy night, as the tempest grew in intensity, I discerned something peculiar about the way shadows danced across the grand hall. The candlelight seemed to catch on ethereal wisps, evoking the sensation of smoke swirling through water. It brought to mind a passage from the old caretaker's journal, describing what he cryptically termed the breathing of the castle. Initially dismissed as the whimsical ponderings of a solitary soul, I now felt a twinge of uncertainty. Descending the spiral staircase, my footfalls muffled by the plush carpet runner, the air grew cooler, carrying the earthy essence of the castle's foundation. The vast hall sprawled before me, its towering ceiling vanishing into obscurity above. Rain drummed a soothing cadence against the lofty windows, providing a tranquil backdrop to my exploration. As I traversed the space, I noticed subtle variances in temperature. Patches of air slightly warmer or cooler than their surroundings. It was akin to walking through sunlit patches on a cloudy day. Yet here, no sun shone to account for such anomalies. Referencing the journal once more, I discovered a passage where the former caretaker had mapped these very spots, dubbing them the castle's breath. The tapestries stirred gently, though no breeze stirred in the chamber. Approaching a particularly exquisite piece depicting a medieval hunt, I sensed a gaze upon me. Not malevolent, but curious, as though the castle itself studied its new custodian. The journal spoke of similar encounters, elucidated in increasingly detailed entries. The erstwhile caretaker had begun deciphering patterns in the castle's behavior. The pre-storm warmth of certain rooms, the sequential shifts of tapestries, the rhythmic pulse permeating the air like a slumbering giant's breath. Hours drifted by as I explored, jotting my own observations beside the old ones. The storm raged outside, yet within the castle's embrace, an inexplicable tranquility enveloped me. The thunder, rather than menacing, echoed like the serene exhalations of an ancient entity. Lightning briefly illuminated the stained glass windows, casting kaleidoscopic hues that pirouetted across the stone floors. In the library, a remarkable discovery awaited. The former caretaker had noted that during fierce storms, the books would arrange themselves in enigmatic configurations. Tonight, I beheld leather-bound tomes shifting imperceptibly on their shelves, their spines aligning in patterns that caught the candlelight in unique ways. It was not a disquieting sight. Instead, it felt like witnessing a clandestine performance, as if the castle sought to share its enigmas with me. As the grandfather clock tolled midnight, its resonant chimes permeating the empty chambers, I sensed another shift in the room's ambience. The air crackled with an electric charge, akin to the pregnant hush before a summer shower, yet instead of crescendo, it settled into a gentle warmth enfolding me like a comforting shroud. Drawn to a specific area of the library, where the former caretaker had devoted much time, evidenced by the well-loved chair and the density of notes in his journal, I observed shadows cavorting in unusual patterns, almost resembling spectral script on the walls. The old custodian had endeavored to decipher these ethereal messages, recording myriad interpretations. As the night deepened, I comprehended why he had been so captivated. The castle transcended mere stone and mortar. It pulsed with a unique vitality. The stones did not merely bear memories. They seemed to exhale them into the atmosphere, imparting them to those receptive to listen. In the journal's closing passage, the erstwhile caretaker inscribed a sentiment that now resonated deeply. The castle does not unveil its mysteries, it shares them, akin to a grandmother imparting tales to a cherished grandchild. These enigmas are not meant for unraveling, but for experiencing, for dwelling within. Each night heralds new murmurs, new patterns, new exhalations of ancient air carrying fragments of bygone eras. Penning my inaugural entry in a fresh journal, the storm persisted in its gentle assault on the castle's ramparts. Shadows continued their waltz, tapestries their subtle shifts, and the air maintained its enigmatic warmth. I comprehended that my purpose here was not to unravel the castle's secrets or elucidate its mysteries, but to become a part of its enduring narrative, to contribute my own breath to its ancient cadence, to unite with the myriad others who had trodden these halls and sensed the edifice's gentle, animate presence. The flickering candlelight cast shadows that mingled with mine on the walls. In the distance, a door creaked softly, signaling another chapter in the castle's ceaseless saga. Amidst the storm's embrace, I felt not merely a lodger or a resident, but a denizen within these living walls, where each night brought fresh whispers of ancient lore and every shadow harbored the promise of a new tranquil enigma waiting to be shared. Story 3. The soft patter of raindrops on leaves created a peaceful symphony as I meandered along the winding forest trail, my steps cushioned by the thick layer of pine needles below. The fading light of the late afternoon filtered through the canopy, casting a surreal, dreamlike glow over everything it touched. The air was filled with the earthy scent of damp soil and moss, mingling with the sweet aroma of wild mushrooms scattered across the forest floor. These solitary walks had always been my sanctuary, but today a subtle shift lingered in the air. The familiar path seemed to twist in unfamiliar directions, and the ancient trees, guardians of time itself, leaned in closer, their branches swaying in a gentle breeze that eluded me at ground level. Whispers floated above, as if the trees were engaged in secretive conversations far beyond my reach. As I delved deeper into the woods, a delicate mist began to rise from the ground, curling around the tree trunks like phantom tendrils, while the temperature dropped imperceptibly, sending a shiver down my spine. The rain's rhythm evolved, beckoning me forward with a new, alluring melody. Through the veils of mist, I spied an unexpected sight. Weathered stone walls cloaked in emerald moss emerged amidst the trees, forming an entrance to a labyrinth unknown to me despite my years of wandering these woods. The stones exuded a curious warmth, and as I touched them, a gentle hum resonated through my fingertips, as though they whispered an ancient lullaby. The moss felt like velvet, emitting a faint glow that grew more pronounced as daylight waned. Unconsciously, I followed the winding walls as they twisted and turned, each curve revealing intricate patterns etched into the stones, adorned with various shades of moss and lichen, a tapestry of greens, silvers, and deep blues. Enigmatic flowers blossomed in the crevices, their iridescent petals shimmering like moonlit dewdrops. The further I ventured into the labyrinth, the more the outside world faded into obscurity. The rain's cadence transformed once more, harmonizing with my heartbeat. The mist danced around me, mirroring the intricate designs on the walls, while in the distance, ethereal wind chimes chimed, though no breeze stirred the still air around me. Time lost its solidity. Had minutes passed, or hours, the soft, diffused light remained constant, emanating from no discernible source. The walls began to unfold stories. Ancient trees dancing in forgotten forests, enigmatic beings blending human and animal forms in an otherworldly gathering. Turning another corner, I stumbled upon a circular clearing within the labyrinth. At its center, a pool of water lay undisturbed, resembling black glass, occasionally rippled by movements that seemed to defy the falling rain. Stone benches encircled the pool, each carved with the same intricate patterns that adorned the walls. Seating myself, I felt the strange warmth of the stones seep through my clothing. The rain's concentric circles on the pool's surface birthed fleeting points of light, dancing and twirling before vanishing. In the depths of the water, elusive shadows flickered, memories, dreams, or something beyond comprehension. The chiming sound drew nearer, blending with the rain's melody and the whispers of the trees into a harmony that resonated deep within my being. The mist continued its enigmatic ballet around the clearing, occasionally coalescing into fleeting figures before dissolving into formless vapor. Gazing into the pool, I began to discern images taking shape. A library with self-turning pages, a garden where flowers bloomed and withered in a breath, a staircase spiraling into infinite darkness. Were these visions tangible, reflections of other realms, or merely the whims of my imagination, fueled by the labyrinth's mystical ambience? Sitting there, I felt myself melding with the labyrinth's haunting melody. The boundaries between self and surroundings blurred until I couldn't distinguish where I ended and the mist began. The rain on my skin evoked an ancient melody, while the stone patterns seemed to flow through my thoughts like a current. Eventually, without a clear sense of time passing, I noticed the path that had led me into the clearing had split into three, each identical, each vanishing into the misty unknown. The walls pulsed softly, with the same inner light that emanated from the moss, casting dancing shadows that seemed alive. Though dusk approached, I knew I should depart, yet which path to choose? Did it truly matter? An unspoken intuition whispered that each route would guide me where I needed to be, even if it diverged from my initial path. The labyrinth adhered to its own enigmatic logic, governed by emotions and instincts rather than physical laws. Rising from the bench, I selected a passage at random. The chimes crescendoed for a heartbeat, then faded, replaced by a distant, wordless melody that seemed to emanate from the stones themselves. The mist unfurled like a veil, unveiling the path step by step. Walking, I realized a serene absence of fear amidst the labyrinth's mysteries. Instead, a profound tranquility enveloped me, as though I had stumbled upon an ancient, awaiting beauty. The rain persisted in its gentle descent, the mist in its ethereal dance, and above, stars materialized through the unseen canopy. Whether real or illusory within the labyrinth's realm, I couldn't discern. That day, I never retraced my steps to the familiar forest trail. Instead, I emerged from the labyrinth into my garden, the stone walls metamorphosing into rows of blooming shrubs, the mystical patterns fading into ordinary shadows. The rain had ceased, yet droplets lingered on every leaf and petal, refracting the dying light like myriad prisms. Sometimes, I catch fleeting glimpses of those shifting patterns in my peripheral vision, or hear distant chimes on the cusp of slumber. The labyrinth's melody lingers in my dreams, beckoning me back to its cryptic paths. On rainy days when mist rises and light adopts that same diffused quality, I find myself scanning the trees for stone walls, wondering if the labyrinth awaits, ready to be rediscovered by a wanderer in need of its peculiar enchantment. Perhaps it was a figment of imagination, born in the nebulous realm between wakefulness and sleep, where reality blurs into dreams. Or perhaps it exists everywhere, concealed in plain sight, unveiling itself solely to those prepared to perceive it. Regardless, its memory endures, a gentle nudge that the world harbors inexplicable wonders to be embraced, not explained. The rain continues to fall, the mist to rise, and somewhere in a forest, perhaps real or imagined, an ancient stone labyrinth perpetuates its timeless waltz with memory and time, awaiting patiently the next traveler to stumble upon its mystical trails. Story 4. The soft patter of rain against my bedroom window gently roused me from a deep slumber, its rhythmic melody lulling me in the early morning darkness. Familiar as it was, tonight the rain carried a whisper, a subtle difference that stirred a curious urge within me. It beckoned me to listen closely, to decipher its hidden message. The raindrops, almost like secret messengers, seemed to form elusive words just beyond my grasp, like murmurs in a far-off conversation muffled by walls. Drawn by an unexplainable pull, I rose from my bed and made my way to the window. A thick fog enveloped the world outside, casting a mysterious glow that transformed the ordinary shapes of trees and houses into enigmatic silhouettes. Amidst this shroud of mist, a faint blue light flickered in the distance, barely visible, but undeniably alluring. It called out to me, its silent persistence impossible to ignore. Wrapping myself in a cozy wool sweater, I stepped outside into the cool, damp air. The fog caressed my ankles like gentle waves, carrying with it a scent of salt water, an oddity considering our distance from any ocean. Yet there it lingered, unmistakable and surreal, the tang of the sea borne on an otherworldly breeze. As I followed the pulsing light, the ground beneath me shifted and transformed. The solid earth beneath my feet gradually gave way to soft sand, fine and cool between my toes, though I had no recollection of removing my shoes. The transition of my surroundings was so gradual, imperceptible almost, that I scarcely noticed the suburban streets fading away, replaced by endless dunes stretching into the misty unknown. The blue light intensified as I ventured forward, its cadence matching the rhythmic sound of invisible waves now replacing the falling rain. Each pulse illuminated the fog from within, creating intricate patterns resembling flowing water. In those fleeting moments of light, I glimpsed a colossal form taking shape in the distance, the outline of an ancient sailing ship, its masts reaching skyward like skeletal fingers. Here, time flowed differently, a slow and viscous stream. Each step I took felt both fleeting and eternal. The ship loomed larger in my sight, yet remained just beyond reach, as if painted into the very fabric of the fog. Its weathered sails fluttered in a wind unfelt by my skin, the wooden hull groaning with the weight of uncounted years. A rustling in the wet sand behind me caught my attention. Footsteps not my own, but of others drawing near. Turning to look, I saw only elusive shapes in the mist, human forms that dissolved when I tried to focus on them. Their whispers lingered, tales of a ship that sailed between realms, appearing only on nights when the line between reality and dreams blurred. As I stood transfixed, observing the phantom vessel, I noticed details that shifted when I averted my gaze. The figurehead morphed from a mermaid to a sea serpent to a grieving woman and back again. The number of masts wavered with each pulse of blue light, the ship's size uncertain, shifting between that of a small fishing boat and a grand seafaring vessel. Water began to pool around my feet, though no waves touched the shore. It rose deliberately, steadily, until I stood ankle-deep in tranquil water mirroring the fog above. In that watery reflection, the ship appeared as it once was in its prime, proud sails billowing, brass fittings gleaming in a sun that never shone here, a crew of shadowy figures moving purposefully across the decks. With one final intense pulse of blue light, I beheld them, the passengers and crew, frozen in time, yet at peace. Their faces bore a serenity, undisturbed by the dual existence of their vessel. Some gazed out towards me, their eyes reflecting the same ethereal blue light that had guided me there, conveying a sense of choice and acceptance in their serene countenances. The water receded from my feet, carrying with it the clarity of the vision. The ship's form blurred into the mist, melding with the fog until the boundary between vessel and atmosphere dissolved. The whispers faded, melding into the distant murmur of waves. Turning to depart, I found the path altered. The beach, once familiar, now stretched endlessly in both directions, the dunes taking on unfamiliar shapes in the dim light. Yet, instinctively, my feet knew the way, guiding me through the shifting landscape. Back in my room, I stood by the window, observing as the fog gradually dissipated with the approaching dawn. The blue light had vanished, leaving no trace of its presence save for the lingering scent of sea salt on my sweater. As the first light of morning broke through the mist, I discovered a smooth, ocean-worn piece of sea glass in my pocket, its blue hue a mirror of the guiding light from the night's journey. Even now, on quiet rainy nights, a glimpse of that ethereal blue light in the distance stirs a sense of wonder within me. The ship never materializes the same way twice, always elusive and enigmatic. Though I've never again ventured as close as that first night, the sea glass sits on my windowsill, a tangible reminder of that mysterious voyage. In moments when the fog rolls thick and heavy, I hear faint whispers calling, weaving tales of a ship that sails the boundary between reality and imagination, forever adrift in the infinite sea of possibilities. Story 5. As twilight descended upon the old house, a shift in the atmosphere was palpable. Nestled in my grandfather's well-worn leather armchair, I witnessed the fading glow of the sun casting elongated shadows that danced across the creaking wooden floors. The soft patter of raindrops against the window pane created a comforting cadence, blending with the gentle crackling of the fireplace. Inheriting this house a mere 3 months ago, I found solace in its weathered charm by day, but by night, a peculiar essence enveloped the air, laden with an inexplicable weight. The scent of aged books intertwined with the aroma of cedar wood, mingling with the earthy fragrance of damp soil seeping through the slightly askew window frames. My gaze drifted towards the grandfather clock nestled in the corner, its rhythmic ticking echoing through the room with unwavering precision. The brass pendulum swung hypnotically, casting shimmering reflections upon the dimly lit wallpaper. As wariness crept over me, a subtle anomaly caught my eye across the room, unnoticed on previous nights. The raindrops cascading down the window created an unusual pattern, as if defying gravity by flowing sideways instead of downward. I blinked drowsily, questioning if my fatigued mind played tricks on me. The warm flicker of the fire lent an almost liquid quality to the glass, causing it to ripple faintly, an unnatural movement for solid material. Rising from the chair, I approached the window with cautious steps, my footsteps muffled by sock-clad feet against the aged floorboards. With each stride, I discerned peculiarities that defied logic. The frame, once assumed to be crafted from dark wood like the others, now shimmered with an iridescent sheen reminiscent of moonlit mother-of-pearl. The glass felt peculiar to the touch, neither warm nor cold, but a curious blend of both sensations. Peering through the glass, the outside world appeared distorted. Instead of the familiar garden with its unruly rose bushes and stone path, a luminous fog pulsated with an inner glow. Shapes undulated within the mist, fluid yet defined, evoking a sense of half-remembered dreams. The grandfather clock chimed 9, its deep resonance permeating the room. Each toll seemed to ripple through the enigmatic fog beyond the window, momentarily halting the ethereal dance of the shapes within. The rain's patter transformed into hushed whispers, reminiscent of leaves rustling in a summer breeze, a melodic backdrop to my contemplation. Settling onto the window seat, my reflection fading from the glass, I fixated on the mysteries unfolding beyond. The fog parted intermittently, unveiling glimpses of an improbable room, mirroring the one I resided in, suspended outside the second-story window. Elegant furniture, levitating books, and a duplicate window facing mine materialized through the shifting mist. The whispers, though indecipherable, exuded warmth, akin to familiar voices conversing just beyond reach. The rain's fragrance metamorphosed into a complex blend of vanilla, aged parchment, and a sweet floral essence eluding identification. An aura of subtle energy thrummed around the window, akin to the resonance following a bell's toll. Time seemed distorted as I dwelled in that moment, the clock's ticking decelerating, each second elongating like viscous honey trickling from a spoon. Patterns emerged within the fog, narrating tales of past nights, fellow observers, and enigmatic windows. I glimpsed figures who may have once occupied my very spot, their expressions serene and inquisitive, hands outstretched towards the glass much like mine. The dwindling fire cast new shadows that danced upon the window, revealing ephemeral inscriptions in an elegant script, conveying enigmatic messages in unfamiliar tongues understood on a primal level. Heavy-lidded, I resisted succumbing to slumber, fearful of missing the next revelation in that mysterious vista. The fog continued its ethereal ballet, occasionally parting to unveil tantalizing glimpses of the impossible chamber beyond. A flutter of curtains, a shift of shadows, even the semblance of a seated figure, akin to my grandfather's chair, occasionally manifested within the distant room. The whispers evolved into a mellifluous lullaby, harmonizing with the rain's symphony as they divulged secrets of concealed realms and interstitial spaces. Drifting between wakefulness and sleep, between realities, I perceived a soft click akin to an unlocked door, followed by the faintest creak of hinges. A cool breeze carrying the scent of ancient tomes and boundless potential caressed my senses, lulling me into a state of tranquility. Upon waking the next morning, nestled in my grandfather's chair beneath an unfamiliar blanket, the window appeared mundane once more, offering a view of the rain-soaked garden outside. However, upon the window seat rested a solitary sheet of paper, its edges slightly curled, adorned with a shifting script that defied comprehension. Despite my efforts, the elusive writing remained indecipherable. Yet in the dead of night, when rain and shadows aligned flawlessly, a whisper of understanding teased my consciousness. Since that fateful evening, I have perched by the window, an eager observer awaiting the mysteries that unfold. The fog ebbs and flows, revealing glimpses of the enigmatic room beyond intermittently. The whispers persist, intertwined with the gentle rain, promising revelations yet to be unveiled. At times, as the clock strikes 9 and the embers smolder low, I ponder if an unseen presence in that distant chamber mirrors my vigil, penning tales of a window bridging our worlds. Story 6. The soft patter of rain on my window had been a faithful companion for hours, blending harmoniously with the distant hum that had lured me to this secluded cabin, the enigmatic singing waterfall. Nestled in my cozy armchair, cocooned in a plush wool blanket, I surrendered to the melodic whispers that wafted through the misty night air. Locals had regaled me with tales of the waterfall's captivating serenade, speaking of its ever-changing notes with the moon's phases, hinting at ancient secrets it shared with attentive listeners. Initially dismissing their stories as folklore to attract curious travelers like myself, after 3 nights in the cabin, I started to grasp the reverence behind their words. The rain continued its gentle drumming on the cabin walls, a soothing accompaniment to my evening reflections. A crackling fire cast flickering shadows on the rugged wooden floors, filling the space with a cozy glow. The fragrance of pine and damp earth drifted in through the cracked window, carrying the forest's crisp essence. Tonight, a shift occurred in the waterfall's melody. The usual gentle tune now bore an almost lyrical quality, as if it sought to convey a specific message. Leaning forward, I strained to decipher the watery whispers that rode the evening breeze. The nearly full moon intermittently peeked through rain clouds, casting silver beams that danced around the room, illuminating shadows that moved in a mysterious rhythm, not quite mirroring the fire's flickering dance. Beside me, my weathered leather journal lay open, its pages a testament to my attempts to capture the essence of the waterfall's song. Each night, the notes I transcribed seemed to shift, as if the melody itself evolved or unveiled hidden facets. Tonight's page remained blank, my pen forgotten as I became entranced by the current variation. Despite the crackling fire, the room's temperature subtly dropped, carrying a refreshing chill akin to a spring dawn, invigorating and pure. The mist outside thickened, pressing against the window panes as if seeking entry, its swirling patterns almost forming recognizable shapes, perhaps faces or ancient symbols. Approaching midnight, heralded by my grandfather's pocket watch chiming softly, the waterfall's melody soared to a new level of clarity. Its notes seemed to meld into words just beyond my grasp, a language half remembered from dreams. The mist outside shimmered with a gentle luminescence, casting a pearly glow through the windows. Standing up, compelled without conscious volition, I shed the blanket to the floor and moved towards the window, drawn by an irresistible urge to be closer to the waterfall's song. Underneath my feet, the wooden floor hummed in tune with the falling water's rhythm. Peering through the misted glass, I beheld the path leading to the waterfall, usually shrouded in darkness at this hour, now aglow with a faint, ethereal light. Silvery lights, akin to fireflies but with a different hue, danced along the path in perfect synchronization with the melody. The rain had reduced to a gentle drizzle, each droplet catching and reflecting the mysterious light like tiny prisms. The very air seemed to resonate with the song, every droplet a vessel of the melodic whispers. Mesmerized yet unafraid, I found myself donning my coat and boots as if following an unspoken invitation rather than yielding to compulsion. Stepping onto the porch, the song enveloped me entirely, the mist caressing my skin like silk. The luminescent path unfurled before me, winding into the forest as a ribbon of starlight. Each step felt natural, as though retracing a forgotten path from a past life. The night forest, typically shrouded in darkness and mystery, now felt like an enchanted sanctuary. Trees leaned away from the path, their branches swaying in harmony with the waterfall's melody, dropping water droplets that chimed like gentle notes. Approaching the waterfall, the song deepened, resonating within me, soothing rather than unsettling. The mist thickened, revealing fleeting scenes and memories not my own, snippets of unfamiliar places. Gradually, the waterfall emerged through the glowing mist, water cascading in slow motion, each drop capturing the mysterious light like suspended gems. The pool at the base reflected not the night sky, but an alternate firmament, adorned with unfamiliar constellations. Standing at the water's edge, entranced by the hypnotic cascade, I felt the song's message resonate deep within my being. It spoke of time and memory, of cycles and lost treasures rediscovered. A gentle breeze stirred the mist, and for a fleeting moment I witnessed figures dancing within the falling water. Not spirits, but embodiments of music itself, fluid and ethereal. Time lost its meaning as I stood there, engrossed in the dance of light and water. Unbeknownst to me, the moon completed its journey as the first light of dawn crept into the sky. The rain had ceased, yet the air remained thick with mystery. As the waterfall's melody softened into a lullaby, the luminescent mist waned, the enigmatic lights along the path dimming one by one. Guided back to the cabin by the fading lights and echoes of the song, my steps felt weightless, as if walking through a dream made real. Returning to the cabin, I found my open journal, its blank page awaiting my pen. Instead of musical notes, I transcribed every detail of my extraordinary night, the sensations, the mysteries, the fleeting glimpses of a hidden realm. As the sun's first rays filtered through the window, the fire dwindled to embers, and the room resumed its normal state. Everything appeared unchanged, yet fundamentally transformed by the night's events. Each subsequent night, I still hear the waterfall's song, though never as vividly as that fateful evening. Occasionally, under a full moon and gentle rain, I catch glimpses of that mystical luminescence, hints of impossible figures dancing in the water. The mist still weaves patterns that almost make sense, and the path sometimes glimmers faintly in the darkness. The true nature of that night's experience remains as elusive as the waterfall's song itself. Some mysteries, it seems, are meant to be cherished for their enigmatic beauty, rather than fully comprehended. And so I linger here, listening to the water's eternal song, writing in my journal, pondering the hidden secrets within the melody of falling water and the dance of light through mist. Story 7. In the hushed embrace of autumn's rain, a delicate symphony played out against the weathered stone of an ancient church. The soft patter created a rhythmic dance, a natural lullaby weaving through the twilight. Standing before the towering spire that reached for the mist-shrouded clouds, I found myself entranced as fallen leaves twirled around my feet in graceful spirals. The air carried whispers of damp earth and aged wood, mingled with something elusive, something that spoke of forgotten prayers and silent bells. Unintentionally led to this sacred space by the meandering path of an evening walk disrupted by rain, I stood in awe of the church's timeless facade. Its weathered exterior bore the gentle marks of seasons gone by, draped in a mossy blanket that seemed to radiate a faint ethereal glow as dusk deepened. With a gentle push, the heavy wooden door yielded, releasing a melodic sigh that echoed through the empty nave, transforming the sound of rain into a distant, soothing lullaby that heightened the profound silence within. Stained glass windows, their hues muted by the fading light, cast pools of amber and violet light upon the worn stone floors. Moving deeper into the church, my footsteps whispered across ancient flagstones, the air enveloping me in a crystalline stillness, as if time itself had been preserved in amber. Rows of polished wooden pews stood as silent witnesses to generations of devotion, each one bearing the touch of countless hands and countless prayers. The scent of old wood and stone mingled with the lingering essence of extinguished candles, creating a tapestry of ancient aromas. Within the encroaching darkness, intricate carvings adorned the walls and columns, their faces and figures seeming to shift and morph with each passing glance, evoking a sense of serene mystery. Near the altar, a lone candle flickered in a brass holder, its dancing shadows drawing my gaze to a small, inconspicuous wooden door nestled into the wall. Though unassuming, it beckoned to me with a gentle insistence, leading to a spiral staircase ascending into darkness. Each step bore the mark of time, worn by the passage of countless feet before mine. The rhythmic rain outside now transforming into a melodic harmony akin to music. The cool night air carried hints of ancient sweetness as I ascended, guided by the moonlight filtering through narrow windows in the bell tower. In a corner, an aged wooden desk held leather-bound books and faded papers, their handwritten text just beyond the edge of readability, no matter how intently I tried to decipher them. As the delicate chime of silver bells filled the chamber, a sense of peace enveloped me, the source of the ethereal sound, elusive yet ever present. Time lost its grip in that small sanctuary, drawing me to an old chair where shadows and moonlight waltzed across the floor in a silent ballet. Words on the yellowed papers hinted at mysteries beyond my grasp, tales of a reality where time flowed like water and prayers resonated eternally. My watch frozen at midnight, the darkness outside unchanged, I became aware of raindrops falling in intricate patterns, lingering in the air before dissipating. The tranquility of the chamber pulsed with quiet energy, every shadow pregnant with unspoken stories, every silence heavy with untold truths, waking and dreaming intertwined, unveiling deeper insights in a gentle dance of understanding. Moonlight cast ephemeral writing upon the stone walls, script flowing like water before fading, leaving impressions of ancient visitors and their contributions to the enigmatic tapestry of the church's history. Lost in the timeless embrace of that sacred space, I found myself surrounded by the harmonious blend of rain, phantom bells, and whispers of forgotten dreams. When I descended the spiral staircase, the single candle burned steadily by the altar, the pre-dawn light filling the nave with a mysterious glow. Stepping out into a morning veiled in mist, the rain having passed during my vigil, I glanced back at the church, catching a fleeting glimpse of kind, ancient faces in the windows, smiling with knowing wisdom that dissolved like morning dew in sunlight. Despite my attempts to return to that elusive church, the path always eluded me. Yet on quiet, rainy evenings, the distant sound of silver bells on the wind beckoned, a reminder that somewhere, in its own pocket of time, the forgotten church stood, its mysteries waiting patiently for the next wanderer, drawn by the gentle rhythm of falling rain and the whispered secrets of ancient stones. Story 8. The soft, rhythmic patter of rain against the window panes enveloped the ancient house, creating a tranquil melody that reverberated through the empty corridors. Recently inheriting this grand Victorian estate from my grandmother, I embarked on a journey of discovery within its time-worn walls. Each day brought forth new enigmas concealed within the aged nooks and crannies. The wooden floorboards murmured beneath my steps, whispering tales of bygone eras in muted tones. On a particular autumn evening, with the melancholic wind serenading through the window crevices, I felt an irresistible pull towards the narrow staircase ascending to the attic. The brass doorknob yielded effortlessly to my touch, as if beckoning me into the forgotten realm beyond. The fragrance of old books and faded reminiscences drifted down to greet me as I ascended the creaking stairs. My flashlight carved paths through the dancing dust motes, illuminating the attic with a soft, ethereal glow. Each step I took unraveled the mysteries my grandmother had carefully preserved over her lifetime, each item holding its own untold story waiting to be unveiled. The attic sprawled out before me, a vast expanse shrouded in white sheets like silent sentinels keeping watch. My footfalls were hushed by the thick layer of dust blanketing the wooden floor. The rain continued its gentle symphony on the slanted roof, cocooning me in a tranquil solitude. Amidst the draped furniture and stacked boxes, a peculiar sight captured my attention. Nestled in the farthest corner, partially obscured by an antique trunk, sat a Victorian rocking chair, conspicuously devoid of dust compared to its surroundings. The worn velvet upholstery retained a rich burgundy hue, and atop it perched a porcelain doll of unfamiliar origin. The doll, adorned in a faded blue silk dress with intricate yellowed lace, possessed a beautifully crafted visage, rosy cheeks and delicate painted features frozen in an eternal state of peace. Yet, it was the glass eyes that held a mesmerizing allure, their depths seeming to shift in the flickering light of my flashlight. As I drew closer, the floorboards released a soft groan, their protest echoing in the stillness of the attic. The doll sat motionless, hands neatly folded in its lap, as if patiently awaiting a visitor. A small key protruded from its back, hinting at its hidden musical nature, though I hesitated to awaken it in the attic's quiet embrace. The atmosphere around the rocking chair felt different, cooler, denser, imbued with a mysterious presence. My breath materialized in wispy clouds in the beam of light, contrasting with the warmth that enveloped the rest of the attic. Tentatively, I reached out to touch the doll's porcelain cheek, only to be met with a gentle warmth pulsating beneath my fingertips, a subtle rhythm that seemed to echo with a faint melody floating in the air. It was as if a distant music box played a haunting lullaby, barely audible yet undeniably present. In that moment of reverie, the rocking chair stirred. Ever so slightly, a barely perceptible movement that quickened my heartbeat. The chair settled back into stillness, yet an aura of anticipation lingered in the air. Intrigued and captivated, I found myself drawn back to the attic time and again. Sometimes I would sit for hours in a nearby chair, observing the doll in its serene repose. On nights when the house descended into its deepest hush, I could still discern that ethereal melody hovering on the fringes of my perception. One evening, as dusk painted the attic in hues of amber and shadow, I stumbled upon a small diary nestled behind the rocking chair. Its pages bore my grandmother's elegant script, but what seized my attention was a photograph used as a bookmark. The image depicted my grandmother as a young girl seated in the very rocking chair, cradling what appeared to be the same doll. Yet, a subtle discrepancy caught my eye. The doll's posture in the photograph differed slightly from how I had discovered it, its demeanor altered with a tilt of the head and a rearrangement of its delicate hands. Within the diary, my grandmother chronicled receiving a musical doll as an 8th birthday gift, a companion that serenaded her with the sweetest lullabies during thunderstorms and solitary nights. She recounted moments when she swore she heard the doll sing without being wounded, a spectral presence comforting her through her final days. The last entry, penned just before her passing, spoke of the doll's ethereal companionship and the haunting lullaby that graced her dreams. The narrative trailed off abruptly, as if interrupted mid-thought. Now, in the quietude of my grandmother's house, I find myself irresistibly drawn back to the attic. The doll remains perched in its chair, its tranquil countenance unchanged yet subtly evolving with each encounter. At times, on the verge of slumber, I catch echoes of that familiar lullaby descending from above, a gentle reminder of my grandmother's enduring affection, embodied in porcelain and silk, overseeing the house and its cherished memories. The enigma of the doll persists, and perhaps it is destined to remain unsolved. Some mysteries are best left as gentle ponderings, suspended between reality and reverie. In the stillness of the house, with rain tapping softly against the windows and the wind murmuring through the corridors, I find solace in the knowledge that above, in the dusty attic, a porcelain doll maintains its eternal vigil, safeguarding secrets and memories within its tender, warm embrace. During tranquil nights, I discern the subtle shift in the air, heralding the haunting melody. A delicate alteration in pressure, a faint warming of the atmosphere, signaling the imminent serenade. In those ephemeral moments, poised between wakefulness and dreams, I comprehend why my grandmother chose to keep the doll's enigma veiled. Some enigmas are meant to be felt rather than fathomed, experienced rather than explained. Thus, the doll resides in its attic alcove, neither wholly of this world nor wholly apart from it, a benign guardian of familial recollections and untold tales. Its presence has transformed from a disquieting enigma to a comforting presence, an enigmatic mystery that infuses the ancient house with a sense of tranquil fascination. Drifting into slumber each night, I sense its benevolent vigil extending throughout the house, interweaving dreams and memories in an eternal lullaby that reverberates softly in the spaces between heartbeats. Story 9. In the hushed embrace of an autumn evening, the rain fell gently upon the forest, its soft patter weaving a symphony with the rustling leaves. Each droplet carried secrets as it descended through the tapestry of golden and crimson foliage, whispering tales of ancient whispers and hidden wonders. Along an old trail I wandered, my boots treading softly on the damp earth, the scent of decaying leaves swirling around me in a comforting embrace. The fading light painted the world in hues of amber and gray, casting a spell of tranquility over the woods. What began as a simple stroll to clear my mind evolved into a journey led by the whims of the weather and the enchanting play of light. The familiar landmarks of my usual path faded into obscurity, replaced by venerable trees that seemed to share silent conversations with their outstretched branches. A distant murmur of flowing water gradually emerged amidst the forest's chorus, a siren's call drawing me deeper into the wilderness. As the trail descended, meandering between moss-covered boulders arranged with ancient precision, a chill crept through the air, carrying a scent of antiquity and damp stone. Through gaps in the foliage, I glimpsed mist rising from a narrow valley below, the river's song beckoning me like a forgotten melody. Turning a bend, the trees parted, revealing a sight that held me spellbound. Before me, a river of mysterious origins unfurled its dark, crystal-clear waters with a languid grace that defied nature's laws. Veiled in mist that danced in ethereal spirals, the river seemed to emerge from nowhere and vanish into the unknown, a secret cradled by the forest's ancient embrace. Compelled by an unseen force, I descended the steep bank towards the water's edge, where moss-clad rocks cradled a silence broken only by the river's deep, resonant song. Approaching the river, my eyes fell upon a peculiar sight. A cave mouth concealed behind a curtain of water and mist. The entrance, tall and enigmatic, exhaled a rhythmic breath, as though a slumbering giant dwelled within. A sense of reverence washed over me, not fear, but an awareness of standing on the threshold of something ancient and profound. The air hummed with potential. The water at my feet neither warm nor cold, but a blend of both, inviting yet enigmatic. A faint melody, like distant music, drifted from the cave's maw, intertwining with the whispers of the forest. As twilight descended, small lights flickered into existence, their movements deliberate and mesmerizing. Not fireflies, nor bioluminescent creatures, but beings of a shimmering hue, shifting between silver and blue in an enigmatic dance. Time lost its grip as evening approached, the lights weaving patterns that hinted at a hidden language, a narrative etched in luminescence. They beckoned me towards the cave, their movements laden with unspoken tales and ancient wisdom. With each step closer, the river's surface solidified beneath the dancing lights, forming ethereal stepping stones of pure radiance. At the water's edge, on the cusp between worlds, I felt the cave's breath upon my skin, a blend of warmth and coolness, carrying scents of eons past and promises of the unknown. The light's dance grew urgent, their whispers akin to voices speaking in a language of light and shadow, of past and future entwined. Balanced on the edge of revelation, a choice presented itself: to step onto the luminous path and embrace the mysteries beyond, or to retreat to the safety of the known. Yet, in that pivotal moment, fear gave way to recognition, a profound understanding that this encounter had been written in the stars long before my birth. Lifting my foot, poised to cross into the realm of shimmering light, the dance paused, the cave's breath enfolding me in a tender embrace. The river's melody thrummed in my bones, resonating with the pulse of the earth itself. Whether I ventured forth or retreated, the world had shifted irrevocably, the boundaries of possibility blurred by the magic that pulsed beneath the surface of reality. The untold story beyond the cave's veil lingered in the echoes of ancient music and whispered songs, a testament to the hidden wonders that dwell in the heart of the world. On quiet nights, when the rain falls softly and the world holds its breath, the melody of that otherworldly realm beckons, a reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond the edge of perception, where reality and enchantment intertwine in a dance as old as time itself. Story 10. The weathered wooden steps groaned softly underfoot as I made my way up the spiraling staircase of the ancient lighthouse keeper's dwelling. Each step I took reverberated through the narrow passageway like echoes of a long-forgotten tale, a melody of whispers from bygone days. Outside, the autumn wind caressed the worn walls, serenading the structure with a gentle, rhythmic hum that seemed to harmonize with the very essence of the building. Guided by my grandmother's cryptic letter, I found myself in this peculiar place, where time flowed differently, where reality blurred with dreams in a dance of enchantment. The air carried a faint perfume of aged books and briny sea air, mingling with the earthy aroma of rain-soaked wood, creating a tapestry of scents that spoke of history and mystery. Tracing my fingers along the intricate carvings of the mahogany banister on the third-floor landing, I felt the stories etched into the wood by countless hands before mine, stories of lives intertwined with the tower's own. The evening light filtered through the tall, arched windows, painting elongated shadows on the faded wallpaper, casting a spell of tranquility over the space. In the circular room on the top floor, shrouded in perpetual twilight, I found a sanctuary of secrets waiting to be unraveled. Dust motes danced lazily in the amber light that bathed the room, illuminating the curious assemblage of furniture and enigmatic instruments that adorned the walls. But it was the tower itself, leaning defiantly against the darkening sky, that beckoned to me with its silent allure. Settling into the embrace of a high-backed reading chair, I felt a sense of belonging, as if the room itself had anticipated my arrival. The warm glow of a brass lamp on a nearby table barely pierced the comforting shadows, enveloping me in a cocoon of tranquility. Below, the gentle creaks and whispers of the building's timbers seemed to lull me into a state of peaceful introspection. My grandmother, a keeper of the tower's mysteries for 4 decades, had left behind a legacy of wonder and intrigue. Locals spoke of her with reverence, recounting tales of ethereal lights in the dead of night, of haunting melodies that filled the air, of visitors who departed with newfound serenity but sealed lips. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a mesmerizing phenomenon unfolded before my eyes. The tower's shadow, cast by the waning light, moved across the floor in a mesmerizing dance, defying logic and reason. Its path seemed guided by an unseen hand, reaching out to touch objects in the room with an otherworldly grace. Following my grandmother's enigmatic instructions, I waited for the shadow to align with a hidden seam in the paneling. With a gentle push, a concealed passageway revealed itself, spiraling upward into the heart of the tower. The air that whispered down the passage carried a hint of lavender, my grandmother's favorite scent, leading me further into the unknown. Ascending the spiral path lined with luminous stones, I encountered walls adorned with shifting inscriptions that eluded my gaze. The tower's tilt grew more pronounced with each step, yet I remained steady, as if guided by an unseen force. Emerging into the upper chamber, I beheld a space that defied the tower's exterior dimensions. Windows framed vistas of diverse landscapes, a tranquil sea at sunset, starlit skies, and enigmatic terrains beyond recognition. At the room's center stood a mystical contraption, a fusion of astronomy and music, its intricate parts moving with an ethereal grace. Beside it, a leather-bound notebook beckoned, inscribed with my grandmother's cryptic wisdom. Page after page revealed a symphony of instructions, a poetic dance of guidance that transcended conventional understanding. It spoke of attuning to the instrument's desires, of listening to the harmonies it wove with the tower's tilt, of embracing the mysteries that dwelled in the spaces between moments. As night descended, a revelation dawned upon me. The tower's lean was not a flaw but a deliberate design, a conduit for elusive currents of time and possibility. The instrument before me breathed life into these intangible forces, sculpting experiences that transcended mere comprehension, inviting me to partake in their ephemeral beauty. Hours melted away like fleeting dreams as I communed with the instrument, glimpsing visions of the past and future through the chamber's shifting windows. A sense of profound tranquility enveloped me, a serenity born of acceptance and reverence for the enigmatic tapestry of existence. With the first light of dawn creeping into the room, I descended the spiral passage, re-emerging into the circular chamber bathed in the soft hues of morning. The tower's shadow now pointed west, heralding a new beginning, a continuum of discovery and wonder. Nestled once more in the reading chair, I embraced the lingering echoes of the night's revelations, a tapestry of gentle secrets woven into the fabric of the tower itself. As seabirds heralded the dawn with their melodic cries, I pondered the legacy that awaited me, a legacy of whispers and shadows, of mysteries waiting to be embraced. The brass lamp cast a gentle radiance, merging with the burgeoning daylight that filtered through the windows, illuminating the room with a soft, ethereal glow. In the distance, the wind whispered secrets known only to the tower and those attuned to its subtle harmonies. My grandmother's letter, once a roadmap to the unknown, now served as a testament to a lineage of enchantment and discovery. The tower leaned toward the heavens, a silent sentinel of time and tales, inviting me to partake in its eternal vigil, to listen not with ears alone, but with a heart open to the mysteries that whispered in the spaces between shadows. Story 11. The soft patter of raindrops against my window has become a familiar melody, a gentle lullaby that whispers ancient secrets. In my grandmother's house, mystery lingers in the air, seeping through the walls like whispers of forgotten tales. Since inheriting this abode 3 months ago, subtle shifts in its essence have caught my attention, as if the house itself is unfolding its hidden narratives. Tonight, as the rain falls with a delicate touch, a misty veil descends, blurring the lines between reality and dreams. The wooden floorboards beneath my feet creak in harmony with the memories of bygone years, their voices echoing through time. The air carries the scent of old books and lavender, a nostalgic blend that evokes peaceful afternoons spent in the library with my grandmother. My nightly ritual has evolved into a meditative dance, traversing each room before bedtime, ensuring windows are sealed and doors are shut tight. The house, grand yet cozy, envelops me in its intimate embrace. Antique wall sconces cast a warm amber glow, painting shifting shadows on the wallpaper, as if telling stories of their own. Approaching the end of the hallway upstairs, a shift in the atmosphere catches my senses. The air grows heavy, tinged with a metallic tang reminiscent of impending storms. Standing before my grandmother's study door, its mahogany facade looms tall and imposing, radiating an otherworldly aura. Has it always held such commanding presence? The brass doorknob gleams mysteriously, a beacon in the dimness. My hand rests on the familiar wood, its texture subtly altered tonight, as if awakened from a slumber. The door feels colder than usual, a stark contrast to the summer warmth outside. Turning the knob, I am struck by its smooth motion, lacking the usual resistance. The door swings open noiselessly, revealing the study within. At first glance, the room appears unchanged. The antique desk, the bookshelves, the leather armchair where my grandmother would sit. Yet, an unsettling feeling lingers, like a painting slightly askew. Shadows deepen in the corners, taking on a tangible presence. The familiar scents of old books and leather now carry a hint of something sweet, like night-blooming flowers. Stepping into the room, the floorboards beneath me sigh, their echoes lingering unnaturally. Antique books line the shelves, their titles shifting and morphing in the dim light. One volume stands out, its dark binding absorbing rather than reflecting light. As my fingers reach for it, a subtle movement in the shadows behind the desk catches my eye. The room grows colder, the scent of earth and leaves permeating the air. The rain outside fades, replaced by a profound silence that envelops me. The door closes behind me, though I made no movement to shut it. When I glance back, the door seems altered, marked with shifting symbols before returning to its usual state. Returning my focus to the shelf, the dark volume I reached for has vanished, leaving an empty space. The surrounding books seem to lean inwards, almost conspiratorially. A whisper of movement brushes past me, carrying a trace of lavender, my grandmother's essence. The room contracts, becoming more intimate, more enigmatic. The windows, once revealing the rainy night, now reflect only darkness, a void that feels strangely comforting. Settling into my grandmother's armchair, the aged leather molds to my form, as if welcoming an old friend. Shadows in the room dance with purpose, weaving intricate patterns that speak a language of their own. Time loses its grip as I watch the shadows inscribe their tales on the walls. The darkness outside takes on a velvety texture, moving like silk in unseen currents. Unspoken words thicken the air, memories intertwined with the house's essence. Shapes flicker in the window's reflection, ethereal and enigmatic. The door stands as a sentinel, its significance growing with each passing moment. It transcends its physical form, becoming a gateway to realms beyond comprehension. The brass doorknob pulses with a rhythmic light, beckoning me towards the unknown. As night deepens, reality melds with dreams. Shadows form intricate designs, speaking of cosmic truths and hidden meanings. The scent of lavender intensifies, mingling with distant fragrances that stir forgotten recollections. The darkness outside glows with an inner light, harboring secrets and untold stories. The rain's melody shifts, transforming into a haunting tune that resonates within me. Rising from the chair, I find myself drawn to the door. Its surface ripples like water, revealing patterns within patterns. Without fear, I reach for the brass knob, feeling a profound sense of recognition. The door swings open noiselessly, unveiling a space filled with shifting darkness. It holds a promise of endless possibilities, whispers of familiar voices and half-remembered songs echoing within. Lavender mingles with the scent of old books, evoking starlit memories and distant reveries. Standing at the threshold, I feel the darkness beckoning, offering itself as a sanctuary. Tendrils of shadow reach out, not to ensnare but to embrace, like a long-lost friend. The study fades into the background, overshadowed by the allure of the doorway. Whether I cross the threshold or remain within the familiar confines, I cannot say for certain. Time and space intertwine, blurring into a tapestry of uncertainty. The door stands as a symbol of transition, a portal to realms beyond comprehension. On quiet rainy nights, the door's allure persists. It remains a doorway to my grandmother's study, yet also a passage to realms uncharted. The darkness beyond holds infinite possibilities, a canvas waiting to be painted with dreams and mysteries. In that eternal twilight, my grandmother may still reside, reading stories without end. Shadows dance with wisdom as old as time itself, whispering truths of past and future. The rain continues its gentle serenade, a reminder that some mysteries are meant to be felt rather than understood. The door stands as an enigma, an invitation to delve into the unknown. It leads to a darkness that radiates a different kind of light, a beacon guiding towards realms untold. Story 12. In the cozy glow of candlelight, the antique shop exuded an aura of mystery. Its old wooden floors bathed in soft shadows that danced to the rhythm of the rain outside. The Victorian windows echoed the gentle pattering of the raindrops, weaving a lullaby that wrapped the evening in tranquility. Seeking refuge from the autumn storm, I found myself drawn into this peculiar establishment, enchanted by the warmth and the rich scent of ancient tomes and polished wood that hung in the air. Amidst the carefully curated collection of oddities, my gaze was inevitably drawn to a portrait hanging in a secluded alcove. The young woman in the deep blue dress captured in the painting possessed an eerie, lifelike quality, her porcelain skin seeming to shimmer in the flickering candlelight, while her dark hair melded with the shadows behind her. Yet, it was her eyes, deep pools of amber, that held a mesmerizing depth, as if they concealed secrets of a forgotten world, painted with a technique lost to time. The shopkeeper, a silver-haired gentleman with wire-rimmed glasses, spoke in a voice as soothing as a bedtime story, his words measured and deliberate. "That portrait holds a tale," he murmured, adjusting his sleeve with care. "Painted by an artist who vanished soon after its completion. Some say he delved into the art of pigments, seeking to capture a lifelike essence in those captivating eyes." Returning to the shop day after day, I found myself inexplicably drawn to the enigmatic portrait. Each visit unveiled new intricacies: the graceful folds of her dress, the intricate details of her hands clasped in her lap, the elusive smile that seemed to shift with every glance. The shopkeeper would regale me with morsels of the painting's history, each anecdote more alluring than the last. One quiet evening, as rain cascaded down the windows in rivulets, a peculiar discovery awaited me. The woman's eyes seemed to track my movements through the room, not in a mere passive gaze, but with a subtle, fluid motion within the amber depths, like ripples on a serene pond. The flickering candlelight caught these elusive movements, teasing with fleeting glimmers that vanished when directly observed. Standing beside me, the shopkeeper's voice barely rose above a whisper. They say the artist yearned for true life in his creations. He delved into ancient methods, experimented with rare materials. Some speculate he unearthed something extraordinary, or perhaps something best left undiscovered. As weeks drifted by, subtle transformations manifested in the portrait. Her expression would shift, at times contemplative, at times tinged with sorrow. The changes were so delicate that I questioned their reality, wondering if they danced on the canvas or in the realm of my imagination, fueled by the shopkeeper's tales and the dreamlike ambience of the candlelit store. One dusk, arriving to find the shop cloaked in darkness, I stood before the portrait, the unlit candles casting shadows in the dim light filtering through the rain-streaked windows. In a flash of lightning, the room illuminated briefly, and in that fleeting moment, I witnessed the woman's eyes blink. A rush of wonder, not fear, quickened my pulse as I drew nearer. The eyes, now unmistakably altered, bore a warmth and awareness that defied the confines of mere paint on canvas. In the dimness, I fancied I saw her chest rise and fall, as if drawing breath in the silent chamber. The shopkeeper's voice melted into the air behind me, as soft as snowfall. "She reveals herself to those who truly cherish her beauty," he murmured. "The artist didn't capture her likeness alone. He ensnared something more, a realm between art and reality." Though I never acquired the portrait, I made pilgrimages to its presence, often spending hours nestled in the worn armchair near the alcove, engrossed in books by the flickering candlelight while the woman in the painting observed with her living gaze. The shopkeeper would offer tea, and we would share tranquil moments, enveloped in quietude, punctuated only by the rustle of pages and the rain's serenade. Years have drifted by since those ethereal evenings, and I oft pondered if it all transpired in a reverie. The shifting expressions, the liquid gaze, the sensation of beholding something both exquisite and implausible. Yet on hushed nights when rain whispers against my window, memories of the candlelit shop and the portrait that seemed to pulse with life resurface. In that liminal space between wakefulness and slumber, her gentle gaze lingers, a spectral presence in the darkness. Whispers abound that the painting endures in that shop, awaiting visitors attuned to the magic within those amber eyes. Some profess witnessing her smile transform, or detecting a hint of movement within the canvas. Perhaps the true enchant lies not in the painting's animation, but in those fleeting instants when we permit ourselves to believe in the miraculous, suspended in that nebulous realm where art and reality merge like watercolors in the rain. Story 13. The soft patter of rain against worn wooden shingles filled the night air as I settled into my newly acquired dwelling. An ancient Victorian manor, its previous inhabitants veiled in enigma, stood stoic, yet somehow aloof from the world outside. The real estate agent had been curiously vague about its past, offering only a suspiciously low price and evasive responses to my inquiries. Through the tall windows, I observed as autumn leaves twirled across the neglected garden, their rustling blending with the rhythmic beat of raindrops. The cozy glow of my reading lamp cast elongated shadows on the vintage wallpaper, creating shifting patterns that seemed to morph when glimpsed peripherally. The house came furnished to a degree, yet devoid of any personal effects left by its previous occupants. No photographs, no letters, no traces of the lives lived within these walls. The furniture itself was exquisite, intricate wooden pieces that appeared to belong to various epochs, as if gathered over centuries instead of mere decades. Settling into the plush armchair by the hearth, a peculiar sensation enveloped me. The abode felt both known and foreign, akin to a recurring dream where details never quite align with reality. The crackling fire cast a warm glow around the room, its light bouncing off the crystal chandelier hanging from above, forming prismatic patterns that danced on the walls. The grandfather clock in the foyer struck 9 times, its deep toll reverberating through the empty hallways. Yet there was something off about its tone, as if the sound reached my ears through a dense fog. I found myself instinctively counting the chimes, though I couldn't recall winding the clock since moving in. A gentle breeze whispered through the room, despite all windows being tightly shut against the autumn chill. The flames in the fireplace flickered, casting fleeting shadows that almost took on shapes just beyond recognition. The aroma of old books and aged wood filled my senses, mixed with an undertone, something sweeter, like dried flowers pressed between ancient pages. Rising from the chair, I felt drawn to explore the myriad rooms of the house. Every doorway led to spaces that seemed to defy the manor's external dimensions. The library, with its towering shelves and sliding ladder, housed volumes in unfamiliar languages, their spines adorned with symbols rather than letters. Running my fingers over their leather covers, I sensed a subtle warmth, as if the books themselves held forgotten wisdom. The kitchen, with its hanging copper pots and massive hearth, appeared frozen in time. Modern appliances clashed with 19th century cooking tools, like out-of-place intruders in a period setting. The marble countertops bore faint stains that shifted hues with the light's angle, forming patterns reminiscent of celestial charts. Ascending the curved staircase to the upper floor, each step emitted a different musical note, weaving an eerie melody that seemed to follow me. The wooden banister felt smooth beneath my touch, worn by countless hands that had come before mine. However, upon reaching the landing, I realized I couldn't recall how many steps I had climbed. The upstairs corridor extended longer than seemed feasible, lined with doors that never quite stayed in the same position upon a second glance. Paintings adorned the walls between the doors, depicting landscapes of unreal places, mountains curving impossibly toward violet skies, forests with sideways growing trees, oceans appearing to flow upwards. In the master bedroom, moonlight filtered through lace curtains, casting intricate patterns on the hardwood floor. The grand four-poster bed dominated the room, its rich burgundy drapes swaying gently despite the absence of any draft. The mirror above the vanity reflected the room flawlessly, except for occasional instances when the reflection lagged behind my movements by a fraction of a second. Opening the closet unveiled a space that felt deeper than the house's exterior should allow. Empty hangers swayed softly, their metal hooks emitting a delicate, musical tinkling. At the closet's rear, barely visible in the dimness, stood another door, smaller, crafted from dark wood with a gleaming brass handle. I found myself drawn to that handle repeatedly in my initial weeks at the house, yet never quite touching it. Each approach was met with the thick scent of rain-soaked soil and something older and deeper than petrichor. The basement door remained locked, with no key found among the house's set. At late hours, faint sounds would rise through the floorboards, not frightening noises, but akin to distant melodies played on unidentified instruments. The tune felt familiar, though I knew I had never heard it before. Time began to flow oddly within the house's confines. Some evenings stretched into what seemed like days, while entire weeks passed in what felt like mere hours. The grandfather clock continued its irregular chimes, yet I noticed it never struck midnight. The span between 11 and 1 elongated like warm taffy, filled with the gentle sounds of settling furniture and creaking floorboards that almost formed whispered words. The house appeared attuned to my emotions. On somber days, the rooms felt more expansive, the ceilings loftier, as if granting space for my sorrow to dissipate. During happier times, the walls seemed to draw nearer, creating snug corners ideal for reading or contemplation. The temperature subtly shifted, always maintaining perfect comfort without adjustment to the thermostat. Visitors were rare, and those who did come seldom stayed long. They would grow silent after a few moments, their gazes darting to corners where shadows deepened without discernible cause. Conversations would taper off mid-sentence, replaced by reflective silence. Upon departure, guests often struggled to recall specifics of their visit, as if the house itself had gently erased their memories. My dreams intensified, filled with visions of the house in various eras. I saw it new, its wood gleaming brightly. I saw it ancient, entwined in vines blooming with flowers that no longer existed. I saw it in seasons that never were, under skies hosting multiple suns. Each morning, I awoke uncertain if I had dreamt at all, or if the house had simply imparted its memories to me. One particularly tranquil evening, while in the library attempting to decipher one of the enigmatic books, I caught sight of my reflection in the window. Behind me, the room appeared altered, furniture rearranged, walls a different hue, bookshelves stocked with diverse volumes. When I turned to look, everything remained as it should, yet the reflection maintained its alternate reality. I began to comprehend that the house existed simultaneously in multiple times, akin to layers of a book stacked atop each other. Occasionally, the pages would shift, offering fleeting glimpses between them. The house hadn't lost its past, it had simply amassed too many to exist in just one present. Now, as I pen these words by candlelight, the electricity functioning flawlessly, yet the house seeming to prefer soft illumination, I sense the weight of countless untold tales gently pressing against my awareness. The rain maintains its gentle rhythm on the roof, accompanied by the erratic chimes of the grandfather clock, and the murmured conversations of vacant chambers. I've ceased striving to comprehend why the house selected me, or why the prior residents vanished so completely. Some inquiries, I've discovered, are more alluring when left unanswered. The house harbors its mysteries, revealing them solely in fragments, in dreams, in instances when the light falls just so on the aged wooden floors. Perhaps one day, I too will meld into the house's tapestry of memories, becoming another stratum in its infinite history. For now, I linger here, attuned to the tranquil melody of a house existing beyond time, reading books in languages that may never have been, and learning the silent tongue of rooms that remember all yet divulge naught. The grandfather clock chimes once more, an hour unknown, and somewhere within the house, a door opens to a room absent yesterday. I smile, knowing it will vanish upon my search, only to resurface when I've forgotten it entirely. This is home now, in all its implausible moments, in all its untold narratives, in all its pasts that never were, and futures that may yet be. Story 14. The soft patter of raindrops on ancient stone echoed through the entrance of the cavern, enveloping me in a tranquil embrace. My lantern cast a warm glow on the aged rock walls, revealing their weathered beauty. The air held a fragrance of wet moss and mineral-rich water, untouched by the passage of time. As a geologist, I had ventured into many caves, but this one felt different, as if it had a story waiting to be told, a story intertwined with mine. My steps created a gentle echo as I delved deeper into the cavern, the sound of water dripping from stalactites forming a harmonious background melody. The limestone formations caught the flickering light of my lantern, casting dancing shadows that seemed to come alive. Running my fingers along the cool, damp walls, I felt the whispers of ancient geological processes etched into the very fabric of the rock. The tunnel widened into a vast chamber, where the ceiling soared beyond the reach of my lantern's light. The chamber was alive with a symphony of water droplets falling into small pools, creating a natural rhythm that resonated through the space. Moving forward, my boots left soft imprints in the silt-covered ground. It was then that I noticed something peculiar, delicate footprints in the silt, smaller than my own, appearing and disappearing as if a phantom danced through the chamber. Fresh and mysterious, these prints led me further into the depths of the cave. The sounds of the outside world faded, replaced by the gentle drip of water and a faint, elusive presence that made me pause and listen intently. The soft echo of footsteps, always just out of reach, drew me onward into the unknown. The passages twisted and turned, revealing natural wonders that sparkled like stars in the darkness. The footsteps I followed navigated the labyrinth effortlessly, guiding me through intersections with silent assurance. Time seemed to lose its meaning as I journeyed deeper, the air taking on a sweet mineral essence that spoke of hidden secrets within the earth. Shadows flickered at the edge of my vision, teasing me with glimpses of movement that vanished upon inspection. The footsteps drew nearer, their cadence matching the rhythm of my heartbeat, yet their origin remained a mystery. Raising my lantern, I illuminated a series of natural shelves climbing the cave wall, where the footprints defied gravity and ascended upward. A soft humming filled the chamber, a wordless melody that seemed to resonate from the very core of the rock. The air hummed with a gentle energy, casting flickering shadows that danced in time with the ethereal music. No fear gripped me, only a sense of wonder and serenity as I surrendered to the cave's enchantment. Seated on a smooth boulder, I swayed to the melody, the cave's song enveloping me in a dreamlike state. Water droplets fell in perfect harmony with the music, creating shimmering patterns in the pools that mirrored the golden light of my lantern. Time flowed with a languid grace as I became lost in the enchantment of the cave's melody. The footsteps circled around me, a silent dance of unseen companions, yet I felt no urge to pursue them. Instead, I existed in that moment, a part of the ancient rhythm that pulsed through the rock. As I made my way back through the winding passages, the humming gradually faded, leaving only the memory of its haunting melody. The cave seemed transformed, as if it now held a shared secret between us. At the entrance, I gazed back into the darkness, where a single set of footprints materialized beside me, disappearing into the sunlight. A gentle echo of laughter lingered in the air, a fleeting reminder of a mysterious encounter. To this day, the otherworldly melody echoes in my mind, accompanying me on my explorations of new caves. In the quiet depths underground, I sometimes hear the distant echo of footsteps, dancing to the same tune, just out of sight, a reminder of the enigmatic connection forged in that ancient cavern. Story 15. The gentle hum of my car's engine harmonized with the soft tap of raindrops on the windshield, creating a tranquil melody that syncopated with the steady rhythm of my heartbeat. The night enveloped my vehicle like a plush, velvety cloak, pierced only by the warm glow of my headlights piercing the darkness. It felt as though I had been driving for an eternity, although my watch stubbornly insisted that only 45 minutes had passed since I departed from the quaint diner where I had paused for a cup of coffee. The road ahead unfurled endlessly, a dark ribbon of asphalt vanishing into the misty obscurity. Towering pine trees flanked both sides, their boughs swaying ever so gently in the autumn breeze, casting ethereal shadows that pirouetted across my path. The air seeping in through the cracked window carried the heady fragrance of damp earth and pine needles, a scent that typically brought solace, but tonight held an inexplicable intensity, almost as if it belonged to another realm. A peculiar realization dawned upon me. The mile markers appeared to be repeating. Initially brushing it off as a trick of exhaustion, the pattern grew unmistakable as I journeyed further. Mile marker 47 would glide by, followed by 48, 49, 50, only for 47 to reappear, defying logic. My mind attempted to rationalize. Perhaps there were segments of road with identical markings, or maybe wariness clouded my perception. The soft jazz on the radio ebbed into static, prompting me to fiddle with the dial, yet clarity remained elusive amidst the crackling. Beneath the white noise, faint whispers murmured, indiscernible but palpable enough to raise the fine hairs on my neck. Opting for the soothing symphony of rain and swishing wipers, I silenced the radio. As the night deepened, I espied other vehicles on the road, or rather, the same vintage car, appearing at regular intervals in my rearview mirror. A relic from the 1950s, its dull chrome trim shimmered in my taillights. Each time it materialized, it trailed at a precise distance for 3 minutes before vanishing around a bend, only to reappear when I glanced back, maintaining that unwavering proximity. The clock on the dashboard seized my attention, frozen at 11:47 p.m. Recalling it displaying the same time when I first noticed the recurring mile markers, which had been at least an hour earlier, I veered to the side to inspect my phone. Alas, no signal graced the screen, which displayed a void where the time should have been. My wristwatch mirrored the dashboard, its second hand stagnant. Seeking clarity, I veered into a rest area, yearning for direction or company. The lot lay vacant except for a solitary street lamp casting a golden pool on the slick ground. Stepping out, the air clung oppressively, as though time itself had thickened. The rain had dwindled to a mist that lingered weightlessly in the illumination. A weathered wooden information board stood at the edge. The map depicted defined conventional geometry, its roads weaving impossible patterns. A handwritten note in the corner imparted, "Time is a circle here. The journey never ends, it just changes you." Upon my return to my vehicle, the vintage car I had glimpsed in the reflection occupied a spot 3 spaces away. Pristine despite the rain, it emitted a faint aroma of aged leather and pipe tobacco, as if its occupant had recently vacated. Resuming my journey, subtle alterations in the landscape unfolded. Trees towering higher, their branches forming natural arches over the road, impeding my headlights. The fog morphed from distant wisps to undulating waves that almost revealed fleeting faces and silhouettes. Each subsequent rest area mirrored its predecessor, down to the puddle patterns. And there, predictably, the vintage car stood parked 3 spaces away, vacant yet imbued with a spectral presence. Days seemed to have melded into my journey, though the clock obstinately read 11:47 p.m. The fuel gauge remained steadfast at half full, and my coffee cup retained its warmth. Encountering fellow travelers on this boundless road, their countenances serene, I pondered if they too were ensnared in this gentle cycle of time and space. Curiously, I found myself hesitating to return to conventional routes. A peculiar solace enveloped me in this realm where time bore no significance, where the voyage metamorphosed into both destination and purpose. The whispers in the static morphed into a melodic refrain, the fog's ephemeral shapes akin to familiar phantoms. I comprehended the note's cryptic message about evolution through the journey. With each milestone of 47, fresh nuances unfurled, undiscovered arboreal motifs, subtle luminous shifts, novel harmonies amidst the whispered static. The road remained constant, yet my perception unfurled, akin to a sonata unveiling uncharted depths with each rendition. As my headlights cleaved the unending night, I pondered if I had stumbled upon a rare blessing, a realm where the relentless pursuit of a destination yielded to the serene allure of ceaseless exploration. The rain persisted in its gentle cadence on the windshield, and somewhere ahead, mile marker 47 beckoned. This time, I anticipated uncovering a hidden facet, a revelation that had awaited my evolution. For on a road that never concluded, fresh secrets awaited discovery, mysteries waiting to be unraveled, and versions of self yearning for realization. And so, propelled by the tranquil purr of my engine, the soothing rain, and the hushed murmurs of a road without terminus, I ventured forth into the enigmatic embrace of infinite beginnings. Story 16. The autumn air enveloped my wooden cabin, heavy with the earthy fragrance of fallen leaves. The ancient forest outside stood motionless, frozen in a timeless embrace. Not a single leaf rustled, not a branch swayed. This eerie stillness had lingered for 3 days, defying the natural rhythm of life. Nestled in my cozy armchair wrapped in a soft wool blanket, I listened to the crackling fire. The flickering flames painted shadows on the rough walls, their warm glow contrasting with the fading twilight seeping through the windows. My cup of chamomile tea sat forgotten, grown cold as I pondered the unsettling quiet enveloping my sanctuary. The forest usually offered solace, a refuge from the chaos of the world, but this silence felt different, heavy, almost alive. It echoed the tension before a storm, a pregnant pause in nature's symphony. Yet this pause stretched on, defying logic. My cat, Shadow, lounged on the windowsill, her black fur shimmering in the firelight. Her ears remained alert, golden eyes fixed on unseen movements in the darkness. At times she would lift her head, tracking invisible paths, her tail twitching with restless energy. That night, as I readied for bed, a strange sight awaited me in the bathroom mirror. Behind my reflection, where darkness should have prevailed, a pale mist swirled with purpose. When I turned around, only the night's void greeted me. But the ghostly impression lingered in my mind like a fleeting memory. Sleep eluded me that night. The silence pressed against my ears, amplifying the steady thump of my heartbeat against the pillow. In that hazy realm between wakefulness and dreams, a faint, rhythmic whisper emerged, like distant breaths. Morning dawned, yet the stillness held the forest captive. The carpet of fallen leaves surrounding my cabin had shifted overnight, forming intricate patterns that seemed deliberate. Curved lines and spirals extended from the tree bases, resembling ripples on a pond. Shadow refused to venture outside, perched by the window, fixated on the leafy designs. When I ventured out for firewood, The air felt dense, resisting me like invisible syrup. The temperature remained neutral, neither warm nor cold, unsettling my skin. As dusk approached, a significant change unfolded. The mist glimpsed in the mirror now materialized at the forest's edge, creeping among the trees like searching tendrils, glowing softly in the fading light. Within its ethereal depths, elusive shapes flickered, movements that vanished upon direct gaze. The whispering breath intensified as night fell, a haunting presence enveloping the space between heartbeats. Shadow clung to my side, fur bristling, as we observed the mist's slow advance towards the cabin, carrying scents of ancient earth and ageless mysteries. That night, my dreams wove a tapestry of roots piercing floorboards, leaves whispering my name, and trees peering through my windows with hidden eyes. The whisper evolved into a voice, uttering words in a familiar yet incomprehensible tongue. Upon awakening, dew-damp sheets enveloped me, though windows remained shut. The leaf patterns had evolved, spiraling outward like a cosmic fingerprint from my cabin. The mist lingered even in daylight, grasping at the ground like seeking tendrils. Shadow spent the day chasing unseen entities from window to window. On the seventh day of stillness, handprints materialized on my windows, not on the glass but in the condensation, imprinted by hands with too many fingers, twisting and branching like vines. The whispering breath had become a constant companion, rising and falling like distant waves. As I sat by the fire that evening, the shadows danced to a new rhythm, synchronized with the forest's breathing. The leaf patterns from outside had infiltrated my home, adorning shelves, floors, and blankets. Shadow abruptly darted to the door, listening intently. The breathing sound resonated within me, syncing my heartbeat with an ancient pulse. The mist seeped through cracks, carrying scents of moss, mushrooms, and quiet decay. Fear should have gripped me, but it felt distant, insignificant amidst the forest's ancient presence. A sense of recognition dawned, as if I finally acknowledged a long-observed watcher. The patterns surrounding me formed a language, written in leaves, shadows, and breath. As I pen these words, the forest remains tranquil, yet pulsating with life. The mist has become a constant companion, swirling at my feet indoors. Shadow no longer watches the windows, embracing our altered reality. The breathing sound has melded into my existence, noticeable only in rare silences. Amidst the night, I glimpse the forest's cryptic messages, its whispers and dances blurring our boundaries. The stillness lingers, not oppressive but anticipatory, like a held breath before profound revelations. I find myself breathless, awaiting the forest's next discourse. The leaves pirouette, the mist spins tails, and in the heartbeat's echo, the forest converses. And I, in harmony, become part of a mystery content in its unanswered beauty, inviting wonder and quiet contemplation. Story 17. The soft rhythm of raindrops tapping against my car's windshield lulled me into a peaceful trance as I navigated the winding roads on this autumn evening. The worn wipers swayed back and forth in a hypnotic sway, sweeping away the delicate droplets that clung to the glass. My headlights cast a gentle glow ahead, their beams diffused by the light drizzle that had been my companion for the past hour. Though I had traveled this familiar route countless times, tonight felt different. The path homeward had taken on an ethereal quality, with wisps of mist rising from the earth, intertwining with the ancient trees that bordered the narrow road. The fog crept in slowly, like ghostly tendrils reaching towards the darkening sky. As I approached the old wooden bridge that marked the halfway point of my journey, it loomed ahead, shrouded in the thickening mist. Weathered by years of seasons, the bridge stood as a simple yet mysterious structure, its time-worn boards smoothed by the passage of time. The mist seemed to gather around it, drawn to its aged timbers like a magnet. As my tires met the wooden planks, a soft, hollow drumming filled the air, echoing through the quiet evening. The swirling fog, illuminated by my headlights, danced in mesmerizing patterns, casting an enchanting spell over the surroundings. Through the passenger window, glimpses of the dark creek below revealed its mirror-like surface, reflecting the fading light. A strange impulse compelled me to slow down halfway across the bridge, a feeling that something beyond the ordinary was at play. The mist moved in an unnatural manner, almost as if alive, while the light bent and twisted in ways that defied logic. The drumming of my tires grew softer, slower, until I came to a standstill in the middle of the bridge. With the engine humming softly, other sounds began to seep into the car. The gentle murmur of water below, the rain tapping on metal and wood, and something else, a whisper just at the edge of perception. It might have been the wind weaving through the old railings, or faint murmurs carried by the breeze. Rolling down the window slightly, a complex scent filled the car. Damp wood, fallen leaves, and a hint of something ancient, evoking memories of forgotten places. The mist crept through the crack in the window, carrying with it that almost audible, almost discernible voice. In the rearview mirror, a wall of white fog obscured the past, while ahead, the bridge seemed to stretch endlessly into the mist. The familiar length of the crossing now felt uncertain, shrouded in mystery. The fog above the creek moved against the wind in deliberate spirals, creating an otherworldly spectacle. A shape materialized in the mist to my right, visible through the passenger window, a figure standing at the bridge's railing, or a dense patch of fog caught in a whimsical swirl. The radio, playing soft melodies at a low volume, began to switch stations on its own accord. Amidst the static, fragments of songs and voices flitted through the speakers, fleeting and enigmatic. Time warped like the fog outside, each moment stretching or contracting in an elusive dance. I lost track of time, the ticking of my watch and the pulsing numbers on the dashboard merging into a surreal symphony. A gentle tap on the driver's side window broke the trance. The sound, like raindrops on glass, carried a deliberate touch. Peering out, the fog pressed against the window seemed to form a face, or was it merely a play of light on water droplets? It faded as quickly as it appeared, leaving a sense of uncertainty in its wake. The whispering grew more distinct, teasing with fragments of words just beyond comprehension, like echoes from a distant conversation. Gradually, I eased forward, the wooden planks of the bridge resuming their quiet melody beneath the tires. Crossing to the other side, the fog began to dissipate, releasing its hold on the car. In the rearview mirror, the bridge vanished into the pulsing mist, breathing gently like a slumbering giant. The remainder of the journey home passed uneventfully, though the radio continued its mysterious symphony, playing snippets of familiar tunes that eluded recognition. Upon parking in my driveway, a peculiar sight caught my eye, a small, perfectly round puddle of water on the passenger seat, its origin a mystery. That night, as rain continued to serenade the night, thoughts of the bridge and its enigmatic fog lingered in my mind. In my dreams, the whispered words returned, almost decipherable this time, tantalizingly close, yet just out of reach. Whenever I traversed that bridge in the mist, a subtle pull beckoned me to pause and listen to the ephemeral voices once more. Sometimes I yielded, and sometimes I resisted. Yet, the presence of the puddle on the seat served as a silent reminder of the mysteries that preferred to remain unsolved, lingering like mist over dark waters. Story 18. The soft patter of autumn rain against the windows enveloped my study in a gentle lullaby as I delved into the trove of old family papers. Bathed in the warm glow of my vintage desk lamp, a cozy circle of light embraced me, while the rest of the room remained cloaked in velvety shadows. This house, once my grandmother's sanctuary, now mine, held within its Victorian walls a tapestry of memories spanning generations. Amidst the sea of aged documents, my fingers chanced upon a peculiar find, a weathered, leather-bound journal, its cover smooth from years of handling. Devoid of any markings, it beckoned me to unveil its secrets. As I cracked it open, my eyes met my grandmother's familiar script. Page after page chronicled her meticulous notes on the maintenance of the house until a particular entry halted my exploration. Discovered another door in the root cellar today. It should not be there. The blueprints show a solid wall. The rain continued its melodic dance outside, prompting me to lean back in my chair, pondering her cryptic words. Despite numerous visits to the cellar during my childhood, the memory of an extra door eluded me. The supple leather of my reading chair whispered as I shifted, while within the house, ancient timber settled with a soft murmur. With silent steps on the plush carpet, I made my way to the kitchen. At the hallway's end stood the cellar door, its brass handle gleaming in the light. With a smooth turn of the old key, a rush of cool air greeted me as I descended into the earthy depths. The root cellar greeted me with its signature scent medley: earth, stone, minerals, and lingering whispers of bygone apples and potatoes. My flashlight cast a glow on the rugged stone walls and aged shelves, everything appearing as remembered until a peculiar sight caught my eye in the far corner. A subtle difference in the wall's texture drew me closer, revealing delicate variations in the mortar. Tracing my fingers along the surface, a faint depression yielded to pressure, unveiling a hidden passage with eerie smoothness. A staircase of unblemished stone, untouched by time, beckoned me into the darkness below. The air wafting up carried a warmth and a hint of sweetness, akin to a summer garden's embrace. While my grandmother's journal alluded to the door, its contents remained silent about the enigmatic chamber beyond. Though curiosity tugged at me, a sense of tranquility emanated from the flawless staircase, inviting yet serene. The beam of light revealed no end to the spiral descent, the staircase curving out of sight, shrouded in mystery. Seated on the top step, I surrendered to the balmy air enveloping me. The rain's distant melody faded, replaced by a subtle hum, akin to wind whispering through seashells. Time unfurled languidly in this subterranean haven, each moment elongating like honey cascading from a spoon. As I descended further, the light's quality shifted, its radiance diffused by an unseen presence, suffusing the walls with a golden sheen akin to late afternoon sunlight. Iridescent patterns danced across the stone, their hues shifting with my gaze. The staircase's curve unwound, my progress effortless, almost meditative. The sweet fragrance intensified, mingling with ancient mineral notes. Pausing occasionally to graze the warm stone, I sensed a subtle vibrancy, as if the very rock pulsed with latent energy. Faint echoes of music, murmured conversations, or rustling leaves teased my senses, dissipating when I strained to listen. Arriving at a modest landing, inscrutable symbols adorned the walls, their fluid script defying recognition. Another staircase descended from the landing, yet an unspoken wisdom urged me to halt my exploration for now. Seated on the landing, I absorbed the soothing warmth and gentle vibrations permeating the space, neither menacing nor inviting, but simply existing. Upon my ascent, the cellar awaited unchanged, the hidden door sealing with a soft click, ushering me back to my study. The rain's timeless cadence persisted against the windows. My grandmother's journal lay open on the desk, its hidden message unveiled in faint ink. Some questions are answers in themselves. Some doors exist not to be passed through, but to remind us of what lies beyond our understanding. Though the staircase remained untraveled, on hushed nights when the house sighed and settled, I fancied a whiff of that sweet, warm breath rising from below, carrying faint echoes of near-heard whispers. In those moments, I grasped my grandmother's wisdom. The journal now rests in my desk, a touchstone to the enigma below, a testament to the twilight realm between knowing and dreaming, understanding and feeling. Perhaps therein lies the allure of such mysteries, in the tranquil liminal space where questions find solace without answers, and the unknown envelops us like a tender embrace on a rainy autumn eve. Story 19. The gentle embrace of dusk enveloped the weathered stone walls of the ancient monastery, draping them in a tapestry of twilight hues. Standing at the threshold of the abandoned sanctuary, I observed as the mist of evening meandered through the arches, carrying with it the delicate fragrance of wild roses that intertwined with the aged facade. A serene stillness lingered in the air, a prelude to the nocturnal symphony, where even the avian melodies paused in anticipation of the night's arrival. My purpose in this ethereal realm was to capture the essence of the ruins through the lens of my camera, lured by tales of their enigmatic allure. The weight of my camera around my neck provided a sense of familiarity amidst the unfamiliarity of the setting. Sunbeams, on their final journey, filtered through shattered windows, casting elongated shadows that waltzed upon the worn stone floor. Each footfall reverberated softly through the deserted corridors, accompanied by the gentle rustle of leaves carried by the evening zephyrs. Centuries had passed since the monastery's inception, its walls serving as silent witnesses to countless supplications and murmured confessions. Now, reclaimed by nature, ivy embraced the stone walls with affectionate tendrils, while moss carpeted the floors in verdant patches. Venturing further into the labyrinthine complex, I noticed a gradual drop in temperature, a peculiar chill despite the summer evening's warmth. The air bore a subtle dampness, causing the stone surfaces to glisten under the light of my camera flash. An intriguing play of light captivated my attention, lingering in corners beyond the constraints of physics, bending around pillars in defiance of natural laws. A particular corridor beckoned to me, where ancient frescoes clung to the walls like fading memories. The figures within the paintings seemed to stir at the periphery of my vision, only to remain motionless and weathered when directly observed. As twilight deepened, a peculiar quality in the whispering wind that traversed the ruins caught my notice. Its movement seemed purposeful, akin to invisible fingers tracing along the ancient walls. At times, the whispers took on a semblance of language just beyond comprehension, teasing the edges of understanding. Setting up my tripod within what appeared to be the main chapel, I prepared for long exposure shots as darkness descended. Despite its dilapidated state, the space retained an aura of reverence. Stained glass remnants clung to window frames, casting kaleidoscopic patterns on the floor when illuminated by my camera flash. While adjusting my camera settings, I discerned a subtle harmony in the ambient sounds enveloping me. The wind's whispers grew more defined, weaving through the ruins like a melodic breath, accompanied by the intensifying perfume of wild roses, intermingling with the ancient stone and mossy scents. Swaying involuntarily to the hypnotic cadence of sound and fragrance, I peered through the viewfinder, capturing the shadows that seemed to undulate in response to the wind's rhythm. They ebbed and flowed, resembling the breath of a slumbering entity. Click after click, I attempted to immortalize these subtle movements, though an unspoken understanding hinted that some things eluded the grasp of my lens. With night's embrace tightening its hold, the temperature plummeted further, my breath materializing in wispy clouds against the not-quite frosty air. The wind's whispers adopted a more urgent tone, carrying an almost recognizable echo of my name within its currents, a whisper woven from rushing air and the gentle clatter of loose tiles. Compelled by an unnamed force, I ventured deeper into the heart of the monastery, my camera continuing its silent documentation of the surreal night. Moonlight filtered through the fractured ceiling, creating elusive patterns that hinted at ethereal forms shifting between realms. In what seemed to be the monastery's library, empty shelves bore witness to bygone eras where the wind's voice resonated most clearly. It moved through the chamber like pages of an invisible tome, bearing whispers on the cusp of comprehension. The shadows in the room deepened, pulsating softly with each gust, while the wind orchestrated a symphony of stone and wood, leaves and water. It narrated the passage of centuries, the echoes of prayers and secrets, lives intertwined with the ancient walls. Closing my eyes as the camera's shutter clicked, I surrendered to the harmonious aria of the wind, a melody that transcended time and space. Upon reopening my eyes, a subtle shift in the darkness captured my attention. The shadows now possessed depth, akin to windows peering into an alternate reality. The wind's symphony crescendoed, reverberating through my bones despite the stillness of the air. Peripheral visions hinted at ghostly movements, robed figures gliding amongst the shelves, vanishing upon direct inspection. Reluctantly gathering my equipment, I retraced my steps through the moonlit ruins, accompanied by the wind's bittersweet farewell whispers. The fragrance of roses lingered, saturating the air with its intoxicating sweetness. Pausing at the monastery's threshold, I cast a final glance backward. In the moon's embrace, the ruins shimmered, suspended between worlds, between moments. Reviewing the photographs later revealed mere remnants of decay and shadow, devoid of the enchantment witnessed that night. Yet, in the stillness of nocturnal hours, when the wind's whispers caress my window pane just so, I catch fleeting echoes of that otherworldly melody. In dreams, I find myself retracing the moonlit pathways of the ruins, where the wind imparts its ancient secrets to those patient enough to listen. In quiet contemplation, I ponder the animated shadows, the whispers that almost took form. The mysteries of that night remain unexplained, existing in the twilight realm between reality and imagination, between the known and the sensed but unproven. The monastery stands stoic, its stones echoing a silent ballad to the wind. And though the urge to return lingers, a whisper of caution warns that some doors, once opened, may vanish forever, existing solely in memories, dreams, and the stories we weave in the dark of night, where the wind speaks in voices just beyond our understanding. Story 20. The soft murmur of the wind weaving through ancient pines greeted me on that chilly morning as I ventured along the twisting path of the mountain. Each step I took whispered against the carpet of fallen pine needles, a gentle cadence harmonizing with the rhythm of my own beating heart. The mist draped low and dense, enfolding the towering trees in a tender embrace, muffling even the slightest stirrings of the wild. Solitude had always been my refuge during hikes, finding solace in nature's tranquil arms. Yet this morning held an inexplicable aura. The silence felt profound, deeper than any stillness I had encountered before. The usual symphony of bird calls was conspicuously absent, as if the mountain itself held its breath in anticipation. Nestled in my backpack lay an old leather journal, a key to my purpose. Discovered at an estate sale, its pages were adorned with peculiar musings about this very mountain range. The former owner, an aged naturalist, well acquainted with these lands, chronicled bizarre occurrences that unfolded in these lofty heights. He wrote of places where sound gathered like water in hidden valleys, where whispers from afar resonated with crystal clarity, while shouts mere steps away dissipated into nothingness. Ascending further, the mist thickened and the silence grew more profound. My once comforting footfalls now sounded distant, as if belonging to a stranger. The air bore down on me, a gentle yet insistent weight pressing against my ears. Pausing to sip from my canteen, the sound of swallowing reverberated strangely in my mind, casting doubts on whether it reached my ears at all. The journal spoke of a specific clearing, marked by a circle of weathered stones, where the silence supposedly reached its zenith. According to the naturalist's accounts, those who stumbled upon it often encountered what he cryptically termed the quiet that speaks, though his descriptions grew enigmatic and fragmented towards his final entries. As the trail curved around a colossal boulder, the clearing unfolded before me. 7 weathered stones, each waist-high, formed a rough circle amidst the trees. Wisps of mist wove intricate patterns between them, a hypnotic ballet in the stagnant air. Stepping into the circle, a shift occurred. The pressure in my ears heightened, yet not uncomfortably so, more akin to a gentle submersion in warm waters. The silence here possessed a vitality, as if it were sentient, listening. My own breath became inaudible, though the rise and fall of my chest persisted. The crunch of pine needles underfoot faded into oblivion. Seating myself at the circle's core, leaning against one of the smaller stones, I unfurled the journal. A line from the naturalist's final entry seized my attention. The silence speaks in whispers of memory. It reveals what you must hear, if you only listen with more than your ears. With those words, a shift occurred in my perception. The silence acquired texture and depth, akin to layers of diaphanous fabric gliding against each other. Amid that profound stillness, I discerned sounds that defied reality. Children's laughter from a distant schoolyard, the rhythmic creak of my grandmother's rocker, the gentle patter of summer rain on a tin roof from bygone years. These were not mere recollections or echoes. They felt immediate yet distant, as if the silence acted as a conduit to temporal fragments. Closing my eyes, I surrendered to these phantom sounds. Each carried not just auditory cues, but a full sensory immersion. The scent of my grandmother's lavender perfume, the touch of summer air against my skin, the taste of raindrops. Time slipped away as I basked in this cocoon of living silence. By the time I opened my eyes, the sun had begun its descent, its light feeble against the eternal mist enveloping the circle. As I rose to depart, a peculiar sight arrested me. My shadow cast upon the ground was not solitary. Faint yet distinct silhouettes danced at the periphery of my vision. When I turned towards them, they dissipated, but their presence lingered. The journal harbored a final scribble, penned in shaky script on its last page. They are the custodians of the quiet realms, the curators of forgotten echoes. They harbor no ill intent, merely seeking to share their archive with those attuned to listen. Descending the mountain, the ordinary sounds of the world gradually seeped back. The crunch of my steps, the whisper of wind in the trees, the distant call of a lone bird. Yet, something had altered. The silence had imprinted upon me a subtle resonance humming within my bones. At times, in the tranquil moments preceding slumber, I catch whispers again, those ethereal sounds borne on currents of silence. And on nights veiled in darkness, when the world holds its breath, I swear I glimpse those shadows at the edge of sight, patiently awaiting someone open to their shared symphony. The naturalist had been correct. The mountain harbored enigmas within its silence, narratives inscribed in the absence of sound. Despite revisiting countless times, that specific clearing eluded me. Perhaps it reveals itself solely to those who crave the wisdom hidden in silence's embrace. Or perhaps, like the shadows and their echoic trove, it resides in a realm betwixt moments where silence deepens to articulate. Story 21. The soft patter of rain against weathered stone created a gentle melody as I stood before the old well in my grandmother's garden. The aged brick structure exuded a mysterious aura, its depth shrouded in shadow despite the warm glow of the lantern I held. The evening air carried the earthy scent of rain-soaked soil and climbing roses, their fragrance heightened by the summer shower. Just a week ago, I inherited this ancient house following my grandmother's peaceful passing in her sleep. The property now felt different, not devoid of life, but imbued with a new presence. The rain cascaded down in a rhythmic cadence, forming intricate patterns on the well's worn stones. Though the well had always been sealed with a heavy wooden lid, tonight, an inexplicable force drew me towards it. Perhaps it was the way raindrops seemed to reverberate as they fell into its depths, or maybe it was the peculiar silver light that emanated from between the wooden slats. Approaching closer, the sweet aroma of roses gave way to a more primal scent, the mineral essence of subterranean water and ancient rock. My fingertips grazed the rough surface of the wood, tracing the grooves and imperfections etched by years gone by. The cover felt cool and slightly damp beneath my touch. A gentle breeze rustled the climbing roses, casting intricate shadows in the lantern's glow. With a soft push, I lifted the aged cover. Surprisingly, it moved with ease, as if beckoning my exploration. The mouth of the well opened to the night sky, and I extended my lantern over its edge. The light revealed countless water droplets clinging to the stone walls, transforming them into shimmering stars pulsating with an inner glow. It was then that I heard it, a faint sound, almost imperceptible. A whispered melody rising from the darkness, akin to a lullaby sung from a distant place. The voice was neither young nor old, male nor female, but a blend of all these qualities. It spoke of ancient truths, of enigmas enshrined in stone and water, of memories preserved in the cool abyss below. I found myself seated beside the well, captivated by the enchanting tune. The rain continued its gentle percussion on the garden stones, providing a soothing backdrop to the mysterious song. Time seemed to elongate in this place, flowing like honey, sweet and unhurried. My grandmother had shared tales of this well, stories passed down through generations, yet she never mentioned the singing. As I focused intently, I discerned faint words within the melody, elusive and shifting before I could grasp their significance. They evoked memories of my grandmother's lullabies, but with an ethereal quality that sent pleasurable shivers down my spine. The voice enveloped me like a comforting blanket, despite its otherworldly nature. The rain gradually subsided, transitioning from a steady shower to a gentle mist. In the deepening quiet, the well's song grew clearer. It spoke of verdant life, thriving in darkness, of subterranean rivers untouched by sunlight, of crystals blooming like subterranean flowers. The language was unfamiliar, yet the meanings resonated within me, akin to understanding music without translation. The flame of my lantern flickered, casting dancing shadows on the well's inner walls. Within those shadows, shapes seemed to materialize, figures moving with fluid grace, akin to dancers beneath the waves. They appeared and vanished fleetingly, their movements synchronized with the rhythm of the mystical melody. Time became fluid, ambiguous. Beside this ancient well with its enigmatic songs, the passage of time seemed irrelevant. The voice persisted in its melodic whispers, at times seemingly emanating from deep below, at others seeming to resonate from the very stones themselves. A cool breeze wafted through the garden, carrying the fragrance of damp foliage and night-blooming blossoms. The climbing roses swayed gently, casting shifting patterns in the lantern's glow. The voice from the well harmonized with this natural symphony, adapting and flowing like water around stones. Lost in the hypnotic fusion of rain, wind, and song, recollections of my grandmother surfaced. I pictured her tending the gardens, her touch gentle as she pruned the roses. Often, she would pause to rest beside this very well, her countenance serene as she gazed into its depth. Had she too heard these voices? Had she sat here on rainy nights, listening to their ancient melodies? The notion brought a comforting warmth, forging a connection across time between her experiences and mine. Perhaps this was why she had always exuded such tranquility in this garden, especially near the well. She comprehended something that I was only beginning to grasp, that some places harbored mysteries not meant to be unraveled, but simply experienced. The voice began to fade as night deepened, diminishing with each passing moment. Yet it felt not like an end, but a gentle retreat, akin to a parent quietly departing a child's room after singing them to slumber. The final notes lingered in the air like a fragrant perfume, mingling with the sweet fragrance of rain-washed roses. I lingered beside the well a while longer, observing as the mist created halos around the lantern's glow. The stones glistened with moisture, and tiny droplets continued to fall from the rose petals, each capturing the light like a fallen star. The well's song had vanished entirely, but its echo resonated in my mind, a melody just beyond the grasp of memory. As I finally rose to return to the house, I sensed a change within me, a newfound calmness, a deeper connection to this place now called home. I chose not to replace the well's cover. Some instinct told me it needed to breathe, to exchange its ancient melodies with the night air. Thus, I left it open to the starlit sky, aware that its mysteries awaited me on another rainy eve. Indoors, the gentle patter of rain persisted, now carrying hints of that otherworldly melody. As I readied for slumber, I realized that I had unearthed a truth my grandmother had understood all along, that the most profound mysteries often lay in those we do not seek to explain, but instead allow to exist, like music in the shadows, like whispers from deep wells, like memories that surface in the hush of night. That night, my dreams wove tales of subterranean rivers and crystalline gardens, of roses blooming in obscurity, and of melodies with no beginning or end. Upon awakening, the morning sun bathed my room in golden light, and the well stood silent in the garden. Yet now I held its secret close, that on certain nights when the rain falls just so and the roses scent the breeze, ancient voices still sing their timeless ballads to those patient enough to listen. Story 22. The gentle sound of autumn rain tapping against the old stone walls filled the evening with a soothing melody, wrapping my grandmother's Victorian house in a blanket of tranquility. Inheriting the property a mere fortnight ago, I found myself irresistibly drawn to its quiet nooks and crannies each night, uncovering new enigmas within its ancient design. Tonight, seated in the library bathed in the warm glow of a vintage brass lamp, my focus kept wandering to a peculiar noise emanating from beneath the floorboards. It wasn't the typical creaking of aged wood or the whisper of wind slipping through crevices. This sound possessed a unique quality, akin to water flowing through ancient pipes, yet carrying a melodic undertone. My grandmother used to speak of the house holding secrets, but none as captivating as the old cistern hidden beneath its foundation. Constructed in a time when rainwater was a household necessity, the subterranean chamber had supposedly been sealed off long ago. However, as I listened to the gentle harmony rising from below, a nagging curiosity stirred within me, wondering if a part of it remained active, concealed in the shadows below. With each passing moment, the sound grew clearer, not louder, but sharper in definition. It reminded me of wind chimes chiming underwater, a paradoxical blend of muffled yet crystalline tones, defying logic yet existing harmoniously. As the rain outside intensified, the mysterious resonance seemed to ebb and flow, as if dancing to the natural cadence of the weather. I found myself wandering the ground floor halls, tracing the sound like a delicate thread through a labyrinth. My footsteps, bare against the weathered hardwood, created no disturbance, while the familiar creaks of the house seemed to hush, as if the very building was listening alongside me. The flickering shadows cast by the brass lamp painted the walls in a mesmerizing dance, giving life to the floral wallpaper at the edge of my vision. Beneath a worn rug in the kitchen, once belonging to my great-grandmother, I stumbled upon a trapdoor previously unnoticed. The aged wood felt cool to the touch, a brass ring pull resting flush against its surface. The sound resonated more strongly here, whispering through the floor like a clandestine conversation just beyond comprehension. With trembling hands, not from fear but anticipation, I lifted the ring, revealing stone steps descending into darkness. The air that wafted upwards was cool, carrying hints of mineral-rich water and ancient stone, reminiscent of forgotten wells and ancient caverns. Descending cautiously, each step deliberate, my lamp's amber glow seemed to be absorbed by the very atmosphere around me. The walls, crafted from fitted stone, spoke of a craftsmanship long forgotten, each block seamlessly melding with its neighbor. Somewhere in the darkness, water trickled, creating a symphony of sounds that felt almost deliberate. At the chamber's base, a circular expanse opened up before me. The cistern, expansive and shrouded in shadows beyond the reach of my lamp, glistened with mirror-like water that defied depth perception. Soft ripples appeared and vanished without an apparent source, capturing the light like molten gold. Yet it was the sound that held me transfixed. In this sacred space, I could finally decipher the essence of the enigmatic melody. The chamber's acoustics were flawless, transforming each droplet of water into a musical note. The rain above, seeping through layers of earth and stone, composed a symphony of delicate impacts. The water itself resonated with the chamber, producing harmonies that defied the laws of mere fluid dynamics. Standing there, enveloped in the ethereal music, I discerned another layer. Amidst the water's melody, whispers lingered. Voices that might have been, memories that might have been, or mere figments of the mind seeking patterns in chaos. They spoke in familiar tongues, sharing tales that felt significant, yet remained just beyond comprehension. Time lost its meaning in that subterranean sanctuary, measured not in hours but in droplets and ripples. The lamp's glow dimmed imperceptibly as the darkness itself pulsed with its own essence, alive with shifting shadows and subtle movements. When I ascended the stone steps, the night had deepened, the rain had ceased, and the mysterious melody had faded to a mere whisper. Concealing the trapdoor beneath the rug once more, I knew I would return. The cistern's song had intertwined with the house's heartbeat, an unseen symphony resonating eternally beneath our feet. Now, as I lay in bed each night, I strained to catch that ethereal melody. Sometimes clear as a bell, other times a mere echo, leaving me to question its reality. Yet I've come to realize that certain mysteries are not meant to be unraveled. They are meant to be experienced, to be felt in the silent interludes between thoughts, in the pauses between raindrops. The cistern continues its eternal serenade, performing for an audience of stone and shadow. Occasionally, in dreams more vivid than waking life, I discern words within that aqueous music, ancient wisdom, or forgotten tales conveyed through rippling sound waves. But their true meaning, the message they strive to convey, lingers just beyond my grasp, akin to trying to capture the essence of rainfall in a fleeting memory. Story 23. In the tranquil embrace of the forest, the gentle murmur of the wind weaved through the ancient trees, carrying with it the essence of pine and earth. As I wandered along the meandering path, twilight descended slowly, painting the sky in hues of soft lavender and deep blue. A wooden lantern illuminated my way, casting a flickering glow that danced upon the mossy ground, conjuring shadows that seemed to breathe with each step I took. For hours I wandered, seeking solace amidst the whispers of nature that usually welcomed me with open arms. But on this night, a subtle shift lingered in the air, a peculiar stillness that enveloped the woods as if holding its breath in anticipation. The usual chorus of evening crickets was but a faint whisper in the growing darkness, and an eerie quiet settled upon the forest. Intrigued yet cautious, I ventured deeper into the heart of the woods, my gaze drawn to a peculiar cluster of trees ahead. Their branches intertwined in a mesmerizing dance, forming a natural shelter of sorts that beckoned me closer. This grove was unfamiliar, a hidden gem in a familiar landscape. The branches twisted and merged in intricate patterns, defying the logic of nature, almost as if sculpted by an unseen hand. Approaching the shelter, I marveled at the smooth bark and delicate etchings adorning the wood, patterns that seemed to tell tales of ages past. The air within the shelter held a warmth distinct from the surrounding forest, carrying a mysterious fragrance, reminiscent of honey and ancient knowledge. Stepping beneath the woven canopy, the very ground seemed to shift beneath my feet, the sound of my footsteps transforming into a hollow resonance, as if I tread upon ancient floorboards rather than forest soil. Curious objects adorned the shelter, glimmering glass fragments, woven paper, and intriguing artifacts scattered about. The environment within the grove shifted subtly, the temperature rising as the quality of light took on an otherworldly hue, casting a greenish glow that bathed the space in an ethereal light. A soft, melodic hum resonated through the air, almost imperceptible yet ever-present, as if the very trees sang a silent lullaby to the wanderer who dared to enter their realm. In a secluded alcove, formed by 3 trees in perfect harmony, a natural chair awaited, surrounded by enigmatic objects that hinted at a forgotten tale. As night deepened, the shelter came alive with whispers of movement and soft lights that danced among the branches, creating a mesmerizing display that defied explanation. It was as if the grove itself pulsated with a hidden energy, a quiet magic that whispered of secrets long kept. The longer I lingered in this enchanting sanctuary, the more I noticed the subtle anomalies that blurred the line between natural and mystical. Branches twisted into intricate knots, forming cryptic symbols that seemed to tell a story only the trees understood. A gentle breeze carried the distant chime of unseen bells, weaving a tranquil melody that lulled me into a dreamlike state. Settling into the natural chair, the hum of the wood grew louder, wrapping me in a cocoon of serenity. The patterns of light above shifted in a mesmerizing dance, akin to celestial bodies in motion, guiding me into a state of peaceful reverie. Time lost its meaning within the grove, as the boundaries between wakefulness and slumber blurred, and reality melded with dreams. As dawn's light filtered through the canopy, awakening me from my trance, I found myself alone in the now ordinary shelter. The mysteries that had captivated me under the veil of night now seemed to retreat, fading into the background of the waking world. A single leaf, twisted in an impossible shape, lay before me, a silent reminder of the enigma I had encountered. Returning to the forest, I sought the elusive grove, its memory haunting my thoughts like a half-remembered dream. The path seemed to shift and elude me, as if the grove itself wished to remain hidden, revealing its magic only to those who truly sought its embrace. And though the shelter may be elusive in the waking world, its presence lingers in the whispers of the wind and the rustle of leaves, a testament to the ancient magic that dwells within the heart of the forest, waiting to be discovered by those in need of its enchanting solace. Story 24. The rain's gentle tap against my window had been my faithful companion on that autumn night, lulling me into a tranquil state of mind. The soft radiance of my reading lamp painted warm shadows on the pages of my journal, bound in rich leather, where I chronicled the strange occurrences of recent weeks. The scratch of my fountain pen against paper provided a soothing harmony to the natural symphony outside. It all began on a misty evening much like this one, when the distinct sound of carriage wheels rolling on cobblestones first reached my ears. In our historic neighborhood, such sounds were not entirely uncommon. The ancient roads preserved their original stonework, and horse-drawn carriages occasionally traversed, carrying eager tourists seeking a glimpse of the past. However, this sound held a different allure. What struck me initially was its unwavering regularity. The clip-clop of hooves and the steady turning of wheels maintained a flawless rhythm, never wavering, never altering in pace. Setting down my teacup, I was drawn to the window by the hypnotic consistency of the sound. Through the sheer curtains, I glimpsed the elegant silhouette of a carriage, its dark form barely visible in the ethereal mist blanketing the street. The vehicle moved with an almost robotic precision, its wheels spinning at an exact rate, the horses' hooves striking the cobblestones in perfect synchrony. No driver graced the carriage's top, yet it held its course with resolute determination. The windows remained dark, offering no hint of any occupants within, and the entire carriage seemed cloaked in a peculiar, light-absorbing darkness. That first night, I observed it pass my house thrice, each circuit precisely 47 minutes apart. I found myself timing the intervals, captivated by the mathematical exactness of its appearances. The carriage never slowed, never halted, and never strayed from its path. As weeks unfolded, The carriage became a regular fixture on our street. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars emerged in the encroaching dusk, I would hear the familiar sound. The neighborhood cats would pause in their nocturnal wanderings, frozen in stillness as the carriage rolled by. Even the birds fell silent, creating a hush of anticipation trailing in the carriage's wake. Other residents also took notice. Mrs. Henderson, residing 3 houses down, insisted she had seen it through her bedroom window precisely at 3:17 a.m., the wheel sound seemingly echoing from within her dreams. Local children devised a game of counting the seconds between the carriage's appearances, though their parents gently dissuaded them from staying out after dark to witness it. I found myself increasingly absorbed by the enigma. My journal brimmed with meticulous observations. The exact hue of the carriage's exterior, somewhere between midnight blue and a crow's wing, the peculiar dimming of streetlights as it passed beneath them, the faint scent of lilacs and wood smoke lingering in its wake. One foggy evening, I resolved to follow it. Draping myself in a cozy coat, I ventured out onto the street just as the familiar sound drew near. The cobblestones glistened with moisture, my steps creating soft splashes as I hastened after the carriage. It maintained its steady pace, oblivious to my pursuit, neither quickening nor slowing, as if unaware of my presence. I trailed it through winding streets and past slumbering houses, my breath forming small clouds in the crisp night air. The fog thickened around us, until only the dark shape ahead and the path underfoot were visible. Time seemed fluid, stretching and compressing like taffy pulled by unseen hands. I lost track of how long I walked, following that unchanging rhythm of hooves and wheels. At some point, I realized the streets no longer looked familiar. The houses appeared older, their architecture subtly different from my accustomed surroundings. The streetlights emitted a strange bluish glow that failed to reach the ground, and the fog took on an almost iridescent quality. Yet the carriage persisted in its unyielding forward movement, and I followed. The sound of the wheels altered, assuming an almost melodic quality. If I listened closely, I could discern a hidden melody within the rhythm, something ancient and mournful, akin to a half-forgotten lullaby. The scent of lilacs intensified, mingling with other unfamiliar fragrances evoking pressed flowers and aged books and the musty sweetness of attic trunks brimming with forsaken memories. I might have pursued it indefinitely, ensnared in that dreamlike state, had I not stumbled on an uneven cobblestone. That momentary disruption shattered something intangible, and when I glanced up, the carriage had vanished. The fog began to dissipate, revealing my own street, my own house a few yards away. The nearby church tower's clock struck midnight, its resonant chimes echoing through the now quiet air. That night, I returned to my journal, adding another entry to my burgeoning compendium of observations. As I wrote, I noticed a small object on my desk that had eluded my notice, a lone, flawlessly preserved lilac blossom, its petals a surreal shade of purple-black that seemed to shift and blend in the lamplight. Even now, months later, the carriage continues its nightly rounds. I've grown accustomed to its presence, finding an odd solace in its unchanging routine. Sometimes on sleepless nights, I sit by my window, watching it pass, calculating the seconds between its appearances and pondering its destination. I've crafted theories, naturally. Perhaps it's a remnant of a bygone era, ensnared in an eternal loop akin to a needle stuck in a record's groove. Or maybe it serves an incomprehensible purpose, upholding some critical equilibrium in the tapestry of reality through its ceaseless motion. I've even entertained the notion that it awaits something, or someone. The lilac blossom rests in a diminutive glass vial on my desk, seemingly impervious to time's passage. It has not withered or faded, and occasionally, in the dead of night, I swear I detect a faint hum emanating from it, echoing the half-remembered melody of the carriage wheels. Tonight, as I pen this, The rain persists in its gentle patter against my window, and I know I will soon hear the familiar sound of wheels on cobblestones. A fragment of me wonders what might transpire should I follow the carriage once more, surrendering myself to its rhythm until we reach whatever terminus lies at the conclusion of its eternal voyage. Yet for now I merely listen to the nearing sound of hooves and wheels, sensing the gentle tug of slumber at the fringes of my consciousness. The carriage continues its perpetual circuit, wheels spinning, horses stepping in flawless time, bearing its enigmatic cargo through the mist-draped streets of a realm existing somewhere between wakefulness and dreams. Story 25. The gentle sound of raindrops tapping against my window created a soothing melody in the room as I settled into my grandmother's ancient rocking chair. The leather-bound journal resting on my lap held a weighty air of mystery, a treasure unearthed from her attic after her passing. Within its weathered pages lay her tale of a peculiar autumn from her youth, penned in her familiar flowing script. The rain outside seemed to echo the cadence of her words as I delved into her narrative, allowing her story to envelop me like a distant memory. "My dearest journal," her words began. The morning mist lingered low to the earth like a veil as she arrived in the quaint village. The autumn air nipped at her skin, carrying the fragrant essence of fallen leaves and wood smoke. Yet, a peculiar absence caught her attention after a few moments of strolling down the cobblestone street. There were no shadows. The sunlight bathed the buildings in its golden glow. But where darkness should have lain, there was only emptiness, a void where shadows should have danced. The villagers moved about their daily routines with a practiced grace, seemingly unfazed by the missing shadows. The baker displayed his fresh loaves. Children scurried to school with books clutched tightly. An elderly man swept his front step. Their movements flowed with an ethereal elegance, as if they hovered just above the ground. Taking refuge with her pseudo-aunt, Aunt Margaret, in a Victorian house on the village's edge, she found an enclave untouched by shadows. The interior exuded the scent of cinnamon and aged books, with furniture that appeared detached from reality, casting no shadows of their own. Aunt Margaret spoke softly, acknowledging the absence of shadows that had haunted the village for generations, a mystery shrouded in folklore and speculation. As days turned into nights, more peculiarities unveiled themselves in the village. Birds sang unknown melodies, flowers blossomed with an inner luminance, and the celestial bodies seemed to draw closer, their light casting no shadows. Time itself flowed differently in this realm, a languid river of honeyed moments. The villagers embraced their shadowless existence, utilizing light to craft mesmerizing works of art that defied conventional understanding. Children reveled in games of light catching, where mirrors bounced sunlight between them, and drawings depicted a weightless world untouched by shadows. In a moment of contemplation amid Aunt Margaret's garden, the protagonist questioned the absence of shadows and the village's futile attempts to summon them back. Aunt Margaret imparted wisdom, suggesting that shadows were not stolen but had chosen to depart, leaving behind a realm where memories of light danced without constraint. As winter descended upon the village, the landscape transformed into a shimmering wonderland, untouched by shadows. The first snowfall draped the village in a blanket of glistening flakes, each one a tiny mirror reflecting light in a mesmerizing display. The peace of this place transcended mere absence. It was a sanctuary where rules bent softly at the edges. On the protagonist's final evening in the village, Aunt Margaret and she sat on the porch, savoring tea that whispered of moonlight. Beneath the starlit sky, Aunt Margaret inquired if the tale would be shared with the world. With a gentle smile, the protagonist acknowledged the disbelief it might evoke, recognizing the story's essence was meant to be felt, not just believed. As the journal entry concluded, the rain outside continued its gentle serenade, and a subtle shift caught the protagonist's eye. In the reflection on the glass, their own shadow seemed to hesitate, as if contemplating a departure. Closing the journal slowly, the essence of her grandmother's words lingered like falling leaves, prompting a wonder if, in a village without shadows, the tale still whispered in threads of light. Story 26. The autumn breeze whispered secrets as I strolled the meandering path leading to my grandmother's aging Victorian abode. The worn wooden steps sang beneath my steps, a melodic echo of youthful visits long past. The porch lanterns, typically aglow with a warm embrace, stood ominously dark that night, reflecting only the ethereal moonbeams. It had been 3 months since my grandmother's tranquil departure in her slumber, leaving me the keeper of this cherished estate. Each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I faithfully lit the 12 antique lanterns, a tradition passed down through generations. This nightly ritual provided solace, a tether to her spirit within these walls steeped in memories. But on this particular night, an eerie stillness hung in the air, laden with the perfume of rain-soaked earth and ancient wood. As I reached for my ring of keys, my hand brushed against the brass lighter nestled in my coat pocket, the very same one my grandmother had wielded for decades, its surface polished smooth by years of use. The foyer enveloped me in a familiar embrace of lavender and old tomes, scents carefully curated by my grandmother through dried blooms and leather-bound volumes. My footfalls whispered across the hardwood floors as I traversed the house, igniting the vintage sconces that bathed the Victorian wallpaper in a soft amber hue. Commencing my evening custom, I approached the first lantern by the entrance. The brass lighter clicked, but the wick stubbornly refused to catch fire. Perplexed, I tried again with the same result. Moving to the next lantern, the resistance persisted, as each wick rejected the flame's advance. A chill wind stirred the climbing ivy on the porch, casting dancing shadows on the wooden boards. The moon ascended in the sky, its silver rays painting shifting patterns through the leaves, a dance of light and shadow. Despite the brass lighter proving flawless on a candle indoors, the lanterns remained shrouded in darkness. The grandfather clock's gentle ticking drifted through an open window, a reminder of time's passage. Yet this night seemed detached from the normal flow of time, as if the unlit lanterns had ensnared a pocket of stillness in the world. Recollections surfaced of my grandmother's tales about the lanterns, especially one legend about their refusal to illuminate on significant nights. Settling into the porch swing, its rhythmic creak blending with the nocturnal symphony, I observed a peculiar sight. Thin threads of silver, barely visible in the moon's glow, connected the lanterns, shimmering like ethereal strands of a spider's web. Each chime of the grandfather clock at midnight brought these threads into sharper focus, forming a delicate web linking all 12 lanterns in a luminous embrace. Within this circle, the air grew dense yet vibrant, carrying the familiar scent of lavender, akin to my grandmother's perfume. The swing swayed gently, though the night air held no breeze, as if a silent companion had joined me. I sat in stillness, witnessing the silver threads pulsate like a beating heart, revealing shadowy forms that danced amidst the lanterns. Indistinct yet strangely familiar, these apparitions hinted at a deeper connection beyond comprehension. The shadows ebbed and flowed, drawing me into their enigmatic narrative. The hours slipped by unnoticed as I lingered, enveloped in the nocturnal serenade and the enigmatic ballet of shadows. With the first light of dawn, the silver threads dissolved, leaving behind a sense of profound understanding. When I rose from the swing, my grandmother's brass lighter exuded a comforting warmth. Testing the first lantern once more, it ignited with ease, casting a steady glow. Lantern by lantern, I kindled the flames, completing the morning ritual under the burgeoning sunlight. The lanterns now bore a luminance infused with memories, not solely of my grandmother, but of all who had tended to them before. Their tales whispered through the interplay of light and shadow, unveiling truths reserved for nights of darkness. This clandestine encounter became my legacy, a reminder that some lights must dim for subtler illuminations to emerge. In the tranquil evenings, as I sit on the porch swing, watching the lantern's golden radiance, I reflect on the notion that darkness is not void, but a storyteller in its own right. It reveals narratives best understood in the language of shadows and silence, beckoning us to listen to the untold stories woven within the fabric of time. Story 27. The gentle autumn rain tapped softly against my window, creating a soothing melody that seemed to lull the world into a peaceful slumber. Wrapped in the warm embrace of a woolen blanket, I sat in my favorite armchair, watching as the darkness of night slowly enveloped the ancient garden outside. Each raindrop captured the fading light, shimmering like liquid silver as it trickled down the glass panes. Amidst this tranquil moment, a peculiar sight caught my eye. A soft green light flickering between the gnarled oak trees at the garden's edge. It swayed with a mysterious grace, akin to a lantern carried by unseen hands. Unlike the harsh glow of modern technology, this light exuded a gentle, almost phosphorescent hue, reminiscent of fireflies dancing on a summer eve. Intrigued, I found myself drawn to this enigmatic illumination, my gaze fixated on its mesmerizing dance through the rain-kissed trees. Memories of my grandmother's tales about the spirits rumored to dwell among those ancient oaks resurfaced, her words echoing in my mind like a whispered lullaby. Though once dismissed as mere bedtime stories, the presence of that ethereal green glow reignited a spark of childhood wonder within me. Leaving my chair, I pressed a hand against the cool glass, tracing the path of a raindrop with a gentle finger. To my amazement, the green light seemed to respond, growing brighter and more purposeful, as if acknowledging my silent invitation. It weaved intricate patterns among the trees, leaving behind a faint trail of luminescence that lingered like a fading dream. As the grandfather clock in the hallway chimed 9, its resonant tones reverberating through the silent house, the green light pulsed in harmony with each toll. Breath-forming mist on the window, I stood transfixed by the ethereal symphony unfolding before me, a symphony of light and sound. Driven by a curiosity both familiar and foreign, I donned my raincoat, the scent of old books and hearth clinging to its weathered fabric. Stepping outside into the misty evening, the garden path felt alive beneath my feet, each step accompanied by a gentle percussion of raindrops and rustling leaves. Closer to the light, the air thickened, charged with a subtle electricity that tingled on my skin. Drawing near, I beheld not a lantern but a spherical glow hovering at chest height, its edges blurred like a watercolor painting in the rain. Emitting a gentle warmth, it altered time itself, slowing the descent of raindrops that hung like emerald stars in the air. The sphere beckoned, leading me deeper into the garden along a path unfamiliar yet strangely comforting. Night-blooming scents filled the air, their sweetness mingling with an otherworldly aroma, as if the very essence of the garden was awakening to my presence. Time lost its hold as I followed the light, guided only by the rainfall's steady cadence and the faint echo of a distant melody that danced on the edge of perception. At last, we arrived at a clearing unknown to me, where an ancient stone well stood, adorned with moss and ferns. The green light descended into its depths, illuminating intricate symbols that shifted and danced with a life of their own. As I peered into the well, I glimpsed other lights below, blues, purples, and golds swirling in a mesmerizing display. The sound of water transformed into a melodic harmony, resonating from depths unfathomable as the energy of centuries past pulsed in the air. Retreating from the well, I found the rain had ceased, the night holding its breath in anticipation of a revelation beyond my grasp. Though the green light had vanished, the well's symbols continued to softly glow, syncing with the rhythm of my own heartbeat. Returning to the house through a garden that felt subtly altered, I sensed the trees whispering their ancient secrets, their boughs bowing in silent recognition. Looking back at the now familiar window, I saw only shadows where the well once stood, a reminder of a journey that transcended time and understanding. On quiet, rainy nights since, I sit by the window, watching the garden with a sense of anticipation. Sometimes, under the perfect confluence of rain and earthy scents, the gentle green glow reappears between the trees, beckoning me to delve deeper into its mysteries. And in those moments, I've learned that some enigmas are meant to be felt rather than solved, to be embraced and allowed to transform us in their own ineffable way. The well may never resurface in the same spot, but on certain nights, the echo of water and music rises from the garden's depths, accompanied by the soft pulse of green light on the edge of perception. And in those ephemeral moments, I find solace in the beauty of the unknown, in the delicate dance between what we know and what we can only dream. Story 28. The soft murmur of the breeze among autumn leaves whispered alongside me as I strolled down the forest trail that evening. The air bore the sweet, earthy fragrance of decay, fallen leaves surrendering to the earth, mushrooms unfurling in hidden nooks, and the final, fragrant exhalations of summer blossoms yielding to autumn's embrace. The setting sun cast elongated shadows amidst the trees, their limbs stretching like delicate tendrils across my path. These twilight walks had always been a source of solace for me, particularly after enduring lengthy hours confined indoors. The forest held a unique kind of tranquility, distinct from the artificial hush of man-made structures. It teemed with subtle noises, a symphony of gentle stirrings and far-off calls. However, on this particular evening, a shift in the air hinted at something out of the ordinary. The customary chorus of crickets appeared subdued, as though they too were attuned to a presence in the deepening dusk. The initial hoot of an owl resonated as the final sunbeams filtered through the canopy. Familiar with this nocturnal sound from my nightly excursions, I recognized its soothing, rolling cadence echoing through the woods. Yet it was not the owl's call that captured my attention, but the reply that ensued. Another owl chimed in, its voice carrying a strange melody previously unfamiliar to my ears. The two calls intertwined in the cooling atmosphere, weaving a haunting duet that arrested me in mid-stride. As I stood enraptured, more voices joined the ethereal choir. 3, then 4, then an uncountable multitude, each possessing a distinctive timbre, yet blending together in a harmony defying natural explanation. The sounds seemed to emanate from all directions, and none simultaneously, filling the gaps between the trees with a spectral symphony. The temperature plummeted, accompanied by a fine mist that ascended from the earth like ethereal breath. Through the thickening fog, I discerned a peculiarity in the way shadows moved amidst the trees. They undulated and shifted independently of the waning light, as if darkness itself pulsed with intent. At some indeterminate point, my timepiece ceased ticking, though the exact moment eluded me. Here time flowed fluidly, marked solely by the steady beat of the owl's serenade. The mist continued to enshroud the surroundings, within which I discerned forms, not entirely corporeal, yet more substantial than mere shadows. They glided with a grace reminiscent of dancers in a celestial ballet's slow motion. These apparitions appeared to respond to the owl's melody, swaying and shifting in perfect synchrony with each haunting note. As my vision acclimated to the deepening twilight, faint outlines within the mist came into focus. Hints of wings, of ancient eyes, of shapes oscillating between avian and something beyond comprehension. I found myself swaying in rhythm, my breath melding with the forest's languid song. The cool mist enfolded me like a comforting shroud, and despite the strangeness of the spectacle, fear failed to grip me. Instead, a profound tranquility descended upon me, as if I had chanced upon something ancient and sacred, a ritual enacted in these woods since time immemorial. Slowly, I discerned a shift in the owl's melody. The harmony grew intricate, layers of sound interweaving in patterns hinting at meanings just beyond my grasp. The mist-clad forms drew nearer, their choreography escalating in complexity. Amidst their movements, glimpses of other realms flickered, moonlit clearings unbeknownst to me, venerable trees alien to these woods, stars radiant with hues unnameable. Time persisted in its peculiar flux, and I found myself traversing the path once more, despite no conscious decision to do so. The ground beneath my feet felt simultaneously familiar and alien, as if it straddled two planes of existence. The owl's melody guided my steps, while the spectral dancers escorted me as silent sentinels. I walked for what might have been minutes or hours, allowing the music to usher me through the twilight realm. Gradually, recognizable landmarks materialized. The gnarled oak denoting my customary route's edge, the moss-draped boulder resembling a slumbering beast. Yet, they appeared altered, as though infused with the night's enchantment to their very core. The mist began dissipating as I neared the forest's periphery, and with it, the otherworldly chorus waned. One by one, the owl voices fell silent, until only a lone call lingered, the same gentle rolling hoot that instigated the ethereal performance. Then that too dissolved into the night, leaving a silence pregnant with enigmas. Emerging from the trees, my timepiece abruptly resumed its ticking. According to its face, a mere hour had elapsed since I entered the forest, though my experience suggested otherwise. The spectral dancers had vanished, leaving in their wake solely the ordinary shadows of early evening. In the ensuing days, I persisted in my twilight walks, yet never again did I encounter the mysterious chorus or its ghostly audience. Occasionally, on particularly hushed nights, I caught a semblance of that peculiar harmony in the distance, or glimpsed a movement at the fringe of sight. However, the complete symphony remained elusive, a dreamlike recollection more tangible than reality itself. The forest guarded its mysteries closely, unveiling them solely during instances of perfect dusk, when the division between actuality and possibility blurred. I still tread the paths as night descends, and I still pause to listen when an owl's call pierces the encroaching darkness. And at times, exceedingly rare, I fancy I discern the start of a response, bearing the promise of another dance between shadow and light, guided by the solitary owl's melody. Story 29. The soft murmur of autumn leaves gently pirouetting across the wooden porch accompanied my nightly ritual of tea before slumber. Wisps of steam lazily rose from my cup, carrying the sweet scent of chamomile and honey. The aging house sighed softly around me, its familiar creaks a soothing melody in the deepening twilight. It was then, amidst the tranquil embrace of the evening, that I noticed a subtle shift in the moon above. Hanging low and round in the velvety sky, its glow held a peculiar quality. The silvery light pulsed ever so faintly, akin to the distant rhythm of a beating heart. Drawn inexplicably to its gentle pulse, my breath synchronized instinctively with each ethereal throb. The air grew hushed, unnaturally so. The rustling leaves fell into silence, the crickets halting their nocturnal chorus. In that profound quietude, a mysterious sound began to unfurl, delicate and elusive. It hovered on the edge of perception, a melody without notes, a song without sound, resonating from the very essence of the moon. My tea grew cold, forgotten, as I sat captivated by this otherworldly phenomenon. The moonlight thickened, almost tangible, like strands of silver silk cascading from the heavens. They swayed in an unseen breeze, weaving intricate patterns reminiscent of ancient scripts, messages just beyond comprehension. Within the house, shadows stirred, not the usual interplay of darkness cast by drifting clouds, but purposeful, graceful movements that mirrored the silent rhythm. Shadows elongated and twirled along the walls, forming shapes almost human, yet ethereal. They danced with a fluidity that defied earthly bounds. Finding myself standing without recollection of leaving my seat, The wooden floor beneath me thrummed with a subtle vibration that resonated through my being. The temperature dipped imperceptibly, raising goosebumps on my skin, yet no fear gripped me, only a profound sense of awe and tranquility. The moon's pulse continued, each undulation causing a subtle shift in the world around me. Colors intensified, textures flowed like water, and the very air shimmered with minuscule specks of silver light. Time became a fluid concept, minutes stretching into eternity, hours fleeting like mere moments. Somewhere within the house, a clock chimed midnight, its toll distorted, as if echoing from underwater. With each resonating chime, the moon's silent melody grew more insistent, more compelling. The shadows on the walls quickened their dance, intricate and mesmerizing, their forms taking on a clarity that bordered on recognition. Faces seemed to materialize within the shifting patterns, expressions of joy and peace, mirroring my own inexplicable serenity. A gentle breeze arose, carrying the fragrance of night-blooming blossoms foreign to my garden. It enveloped me, lifting strands of hair and fabric in a tender caress. The moonlight responded, weaving through the air in complex, mesmerizing patterns that eluded my gaze. Bathed in this impossible radiance, a realization dawned, or perhaps a memory long forgotten. The moon's silent song whispered of ancient truths, of realms existing between breaths, of dimensions brushing against our own like silk against skin. It spoke of nights when the veil between reality and possibility grew thin enough to touch. The shadows continued their enchanting dance, now beckoning me to join. My feet moved of their own accord, tracing steps to a choreography unknown yet intimately familiar. The moonlight draped around me like a mantle, and for a fleeting moment I felt weightless, as if poised to step off the porch and tread upon the silvered light itself. Gradually, almost reluctantly, the intensity waned. The shadows resumed their stationary state, the moonlight dimming to its customary brilliance. The silent melody faded, leaving behind an echo that reverberated in my bones. Seated once more in my chair, the tea now icy, the night had returned to its ordinary cadence. Crickets chirped, leaves rustled, the old house crooned its lullaby. Yet a fundamental shift had occurred, irreversible and profound. The moon would forever hold a different allure, a mystery hovering between dream and reality, never to be fully grasped. Now on tranquil nights when the moon reigns full, I linger on the porch, waiting. In moments of utter stillness and patience, I catch a fleeting echo of that silent song, glimpse the faintest shimmer of silver threads in the air. And the shadows, oh the shadows, they remember the dance, though they no longer perform. They reach toward me with a knowing elegance, as if to convey that certain enigmas are destined to remain beyond comprehension, residing in the exquisite space between wakefulness and reverie. Perhaps therein lies their rightful place, in that twilight realm where the moon intones its silent hymn and shadows waltz to melodies discernible solely by the heart. In that realm, in that moment of enchantment and boundless potential, we unearth a tranquility that defies elucidation, a magic transcending language. I continue to partake of my evening tea on the porch, witness to the moon's ascent over the horizon. And sometimes, just sometimes, when the night holds its breath and my mind stills, I perceive the faint pulse of silver light, a distant heartbeat beckoning me to a dance I may never wholly comprehend, but will forever cherish. Story 30. The wind rustled through the autumn leaves, carrying the essence of rain-soaked soil and aging flowers. Nestled in my grandmother's antique rocking chair, cocooned in a plush woolen blanket, I observed the evening mist unfurling over my backyard, transforming the familiar into enigmatic silhouettes. The rhythmic creak of the chair on the wooden porch synchronized with my breath, lulling me into a tranquil state. My gaze wandered to the ancient hedge that bordered my land, a barrier of thorny branches soaring high above, its dense foliage veiling whatever lay beyond. Grandmother once spoke of the hedge as ancient as time itself, safeguarding something precious on the other side. In my youth, I embraced this as another whimsical tale, akin to fairies twirling under moonbeams or shadows murmuring secrets. The mist carried the delicate scent of roses, a puzzling occurrence considering my garden bore none. As darkness enveloped, the fragrance intensified, a sweet perfume reminiscent of the dried rose petals in grandmother's jewelry box. My eyelids grew heavy as I savored the drip of water from the leaves, each droplet creating ripples in the burgeoning puddles below. A soft glow captured my gaze, emanating just beyond the hedge. Unlike the harsh beams of a neighbor's security light or the cold blue of modern LEDs, this light was warm and golden, akin to honey basking in sunlight. It pulsed gently, as if breathing, pirouetting amongst the thorny branches. Mesmerized, I rose from the chair, the blanket cascading to the porch floor. My bare feet treaded on the dew-kissed grass, each step sinking into the yielding earth. Drawing closer to the hedge, intricate details emerged from the shadows. Water droplets glistened on the thorns like crystalline beads, capturing and reflecting the enigmatic golden light. The midnight blue roses I had scented earlier materialized, their petals an ethereal hue nestled among the thorns. Standing before the hedge, a revelation struck me, a slender gap amidst the branches, just wide enough for passage. The thorns seemed to part, forming a natural archway. Through this breach, the golden light spilled, casting elongated shadows at my feet. Peering through the opening, glimpses of what seemed to be another garden unfolded. Unlike my practical backyard with orderly vegetable rows and herb patches, this realm defied natural laws. Flowers that should have wilted in autumn bloomed with vivid vitality. Vines with stained glass leaves entwined around ancient stone pillars, incongruous in this suburban setting. Fragrances wafted through the gap, night-blooming jasmine, rain on stone, and something ancient and mysterious, akin to forgotten tomes or the dust of ancient memories. My heart beat steadily, not with fear, but with a profound sense of wonder, reminiscent of childhood belief in grandmother's tales. I extended my hand to touch a midnight blue rose, expecting cool, mist-dampened petals. Instead, warmth greeted my touch, as though the rose had basked in summer's embrace. Upon contact, a soft melody wafted through the hedge's gap. Not quite music, but a ghostly echo of a song, akin to recalling a tune from a dream. The golden light pulsed anew, casting shadows that moved in the distant garden. Not ominous shapes, but gentle undulations akin to dancers swaying to ethereal music. Each shadow left trails of soft light, akin to fireflies sketching patterns in the dark. I swayed slightly, my body responsive to the elusive melody. The thorny archway widened imperceptibly, a subtle invitation to step forward. Rationality whispered that this was improbable. Hedges do not part like stage curtains, nor do gardens gleam with mystical light. Yet grandmother's voice echoed in my mind, hinting that beauty often veils itself behind the guise of impossibility. Water dripped from the leaves, each drop harmonizing with the phantom melody beyond the hedge. Time stretched, thick and honeyed. The mist encircling my feet moved purposefully, akin to gentle hands beckoning me onward. A balmy breeze carried the scent of roses through the gap, intermingled with hints of vanilla and cedar. Shadows in the garden danced on, and I fancied I discerned familiar figures among them. The swirl of grandmother's cherished dress, the tilt of her head recounting tales, the gentle wave of her hand unveiling magic in the mundane. The golden light flickered once more, suffusing the hedge with a dewy luminescence. The gap awaited, patient and inscrutable, neither urging nor dissuading my next step. The mystery of the unknown lingered, thick as mist. Rooted in place, my feet sinking into the damp grass, I existed amidst deepening night. The tangible world of streetlights and urban sounds ebbed, leaving only the melodic cascade of falling water, the warm radiance beyond the hedge, and the eternal dance of shadows in that fantastical garden. My hand extended, fingers grazing the warm petals of the midnight blue rose. The decision to traverse the threshold remained unspoken, hanging in the air akin to the mist swirling around my feet. Perhaps true enchantment lay not in crossing the threshold, but in acknowledging their existence. Realms where the ordinary converges with the ancient and enigmatic, where childhood fables meld into reality like watercolors blending on wet canvas. A smile graced my lips as comprehension dawned. Some gardens are meant to be glimpsed, their mysteries safeguarded like pressed flowers within memory's pages. The hedge held its secrets, as it had for generations, yet now I understood they awaited beyond the thorns, cavorting in golden light to the symphony of raindrops.